Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FPL BlackBox ahead of Gameweek 14. My name is Az, and I am joined by the loser that is Mr. Mark Southern.
Oh, dear, I didn't know you had the Brighton shirt on. Did you just go and get that on? Did you just get changed? I didn't notice you were wearing that.
Come on, the Seagulls.
Yeah, you played well, to be fair. I mean, it was... you were hanging on at the end, though, due to your ill discipline on the pitch, obviously, and soft penalty as well. But yeah, fair enough. You kind of deserved it, I guess. Yeah. So the Black Box Derby, you should explain for those who don't know, who are only just tuning in, because we get thousands of new listeners every week, of course, as who wouldn't know that you sport Brighton and I sport Forest.
Yeah, that's key. That is key information. Yes, it was the Black Box Derby, and you added some fuel to the fire last week because you.
I was arrogant. I was cocky.
You were saying, "Oh, you're not going to score. We got the best defence. We don't lose at home." All of that, but here we are.
I eat my words, not for the first time. I mean, I've got excuses ready. I didn't know at the time that Aaron E wasn't going to play, or Sangari, and they are quite key players. And it's not like you had any injuries.
Yeah. A goal down in the first 3 minutes.
You almost got a game, didn't you, actually? I thought, you had so many injuries.
I know. Yeah,
you can't take throw-ins, though, can you? So.
be a bit embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, down in 3 minutes, 2 injuries in the first half, our captain sent off. It was a very happy performance.
Do you think he should have gone for calling him a bald prick?
I mean, he's, in all seriousness, he's got to do better than that.
Yeah,
that's really bad. But hey yo,
not great.
Yeah. How are you now?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Very good indeed. I enjoyed the game, and but I'm looking forward to this Saturday because it's the Everton game. I'm going to that, and then it's Raptors event in Nottingham as well, which will be brilliant. Then it's my birthday on Sunday, and I'm going to be taking the camera with me and doing a little video while I'm up there, of course, as well. So I'm looking forward to the weekend. It'll be really good.
Very nice. I didn't you going to the meets? That's fun.
Yeah. So I'll be there after the game. I think there's an 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday as well, isn't there? It's really strange. We've got a Saturday night 8 o'clock kickoff. So. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. But here and now, we're doing Black Box, and I'm looking forward to the episode. We've got lots to cover, right?
We do indeed, loads to cover. Firstly, we've had a bit of an influx of new members who've joined. So, I mean, look at all these.
I can't understand it. What's going on?
Lovely people.
What have you done? What have you done to persuade this many people?
I don't know. We do have limited spots left in the WhatsApp.
Oh, here
chat.
we go. Here we go with the limited editions.
So there's just five spots left. In that. So if you are interested in getting involved in that, do join. If you do miss the cut off for that, though, we've got a Discord channel which is up and running, which is really fun. We've obviously got the Predictions League, which Lee runs, which is fantastic. We've got the Black Box Leagues as well, and loads of other cool stuff too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing kind of where the membership and stuff goes. But it's a good time to get involved. Shout out to Dave Newell, Big Dave, Ben Moxham, Ikwan Fadi, Douglas Bonds, Caroline Owen, Mark Eshelby, Daddy Bot Jonathan, TJ Max, Paul Atwood, Danny Sweeney, The Heroic Doses, Hot Iron 1, and Ankit, who has re-subbed for the month.
Incredible. I've got to say, I haven't been able to give much attention to Discord this week, but I'm looking forward to Christmas because we're going to have a whole lot more. And Nigel the Crab, our chief cheerleader there, straight in chat, saying, a lot going on. Thank you, Nigel, for all your work. And helping us put that together. He's saying, look, Black Box meetup is surely next. You know what? He might have a point,
100%.
Yeah.
100%. There's going to be, we are...
50 quid VIP tickets? What do you think?
I was about to say the opposite and say that we're grateful for all the subs and we're going to...
What idiot would come up with that? Yeah, no. We will. No, it's a good idea. I think we should. I mean, the Always Cheating event was really good. They had a good venue in London, I thought, although I didn't have ID and nearly didn't get in. So let's go somewhere else where we can be sure everyone can get in. But I thought it was really good. So we should definitely think about that in the new year before the end of the season. An end of season rap party would be really good, wouldn't it?
We haven't mentioned that. It was so funny when we tried to get into the meets and you didn't have your ID, trying to convince the guy that you were.
And I was like, do you know who I am? Have you not seen me walking through the forest to and talking?
Yeah, you're banned.
I did, just in case anyone believes that I said that. I didn't, right?
You did.
Yeah. I didn't.
We will sort some stuff out for things like that. So yeah, get involved. Right, let's talk about some actual FPL. So, a few people were saying about my sound. Is my sound okay? You can hear me all right?
Yeah, you're a bit loud in my ears, but I think that's
I
okay.
can hear myself echoing a little bit.
Okay, that'll be because you're loud and you're coming through on my mic. That's
Okay,
why. I'll turn you down at my end if I can a little bit.
Are people saying I'm a little bit loud, or I'm a bit too,
There we go.
bit too high? Yeah, that's better.
There you go.
Yeah,
you're not echoing now
No,
because
not
I've turned
echoing
you down in my ears. So there you
Hope
go.
that fixes it a little bit. Let's talk about the last game week. It's a bit embarrassing, our game weeks, because
We got the same score, didn't we?
well, we got the same score. We've got three players different this week. I'm almost certain that we will have two players coming into the end of this because I think we've both made the same move already. So yeah, it's a bit dull. I can't remember in all the 4 years we've done this. I've never known our teams to be this similar. Normally we go in completely sort of different directions.
Yeah, I think that the title of the show this week is Spot the Different, and it really does apply to a couple of things. We're talking about penalties, which is what it was mainly about, but also, yeah, you're right. You said at the top before we came on air, our teams are very different. When you look at my team that is now, when we get to the end of the show, it's as template as it gets. I mean, I'm kind of like in this quandary now where I don't like being kind of channeled with one way of playing with a team that many people have got very similar players. I normally am a manager who rebels against that, and that's when things either go spectacularly wrong or spectacularly right. So I'm at a crossroads now because you're right, our teams are very similar and it's making me a little bit unsettled, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to go, whether I'll just see it through until the AFCON, because obviously when Salah goes and when Son goes, it will shake things up, or whether I need to move, kind of blink first and go and change things up before that. I'm finding using transfers quite tricky. I mean, we've got the blank in 18 to work towards, but I don't know. How do you feel about it? Is it? I mean, with your rank, are you thinking, well, I'll stick to having quite a template team for now, and then look at the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling because I don't want to play this way. I'm just really struggling to find decent alternative options. I mean, Diaby, for example, if Diaby had been doing well for us, I think the sale of him to Mbumo would be a bit more difficult, but he's been rubbish and he keeps getting subbed early. And
he does.
It's like, well, it's a no-brainer to move for him to Mbumo. It's like, I want to keep faith in Adingra because I like having the Brighton player and Brighton scoring goals, but he's not getting points, and Palmer's the same price and he's on penalties, and Chelsea have got a good fixture run. And like you look at someone like Martinelli, well, maybe I can free up some funds by going him over Saka. Well, there's not really much I can do with it because I've got kind of other people in place, and Martinelli's not doing very well. So the only kind of alternatives I'm seeing are in defence, and that's where I've been trying to play a little bit differently, and they're just not doing well either.
And when you get to my team, you can see what you get for playing a bit differently. You get 18 minutes, basically.
I know. That's it,
yeah. You are right. I mean, you could sell Son, you could sell Watkins. We're going to look at Son tonight, aren't we? And what are the options if you do downgrade him and where you put that money. I guess the option is you sell Son, you go 3-4-3, right? And then you get Darwin or Solanke in alongside Haaland and Watkins. That could be a way of going against the template a little bit. Jota's injury probably promotes Darwin that little bit more now. We think Jota's going to be out for several weeks. So although Gakpo and Diaz are there, you've got to think, well, Darwin's probably now more likely to start these games over Christmas because of that. I think I was kind of being put off Darwin because of the Christmas crush and the fact that Jota and Gakpo are there as options for Klopp. But now with one of them gone, the 4-3-3 the 3-4-3 could be an option now, I think. Are you looking? I mean, we're talking about Son tonight. Is it something you've even considered?
Not really, because I like the way Spurs are playing, even with the key players missing. And I mean, just to run through my team quickly: Aroyo in goal, Gabriel. I bought in Gahey. I thought that was a locked-in 6-pointer for him. Obviously, they
should have gone
twice.
Mitchell.
Should have gone Mitchell. And then I was cursing not going 8 Nori because it's like, oh, this is going to be Mark getting his big points, and he goes off early, so it wouldn't have mattered who I'd gone for. Even if I kept Cash, he still got 0 points. Or did he get 1? No, he got 0, didn't he? He got
0, yeah.
And 1 point. So whatever. I mean, Livramento is annoying because I tried to be clever with that move, and then Lascelles scored, who I would have had if I hadn't gone for him. So it's like another 5 points lost on that. And then the rest is just pretty dull. Salah, Son, Captain, I'm still waiting for that one big haul from my captain, and we'll have a look at my captains in a minute.
It's been bad, hasn't it? Both of us are doing badly.
Been really
you
bad.
in particular doing badly. So let's talk about that quite a lot.
Yeah, really bad. And this was a week where again I thought, Haaland and Salah, they'll probably come away with something, but I'm not seeing a huge haul. Whereas I can see that for Spurs, and kind of exactly what I predicted happened. Salah and Haaland both got a return, and Son could have had a mega haul. He could have had one. I've watched the highlights. 3 offside goals.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot better than it was, but it wasn't. I mean, Saka got lucky. I think pretty anonymous in that game. Great cross with the 8 points. Diaby and Adingra both blanking 1 point. Awful. And then Haaland and Watkins. So yeah, I mean, you went for Son as well. You must be pretty disappointed. You watched. You caught up with the match after the. After the birthday party, right?
I did a kind of like a strange match of the day challenge type thing. Did you? Were you at the Carvery?
I was at the Carvery.
So you missed it as well. Yeah, I didn't. I avoided the score. Got back and said that, and watched the game in fast forward, and obviously saw Son score the goals and then see the VAR come up and the offside come up. It wasn't. It didn't make me think I need to sell Son. He was getting plenty of chances and Spurs were creating fine. And it was just a week where the captaincy went against us, right? I think the Liverpool City game went quite predictably, and I don't think Haaland. I think Haaland and Salah were kind of fortunate to get returns out of it. Really, I don't think either team played particularly well, but Haaland and Salah do what they do. They get returns in even when their teams aren't at full tilt. Son could have been bigger, but I think it's just unfortunate. Basically, it was Haaland captain and having Gordon were the difference this week between a meh week and a good week. So I can't have Gordon because I've got Palmer instead. So I think that's fair enough. And you don't have Gordon because you've got Adingra, which is not quite fair enough. But I mean, he was good. He played well, but he just doesn't look like being involved. He's like 1 or 2 passes away from the goal, basically.
Yeah, he hasn't got that route to points that some of the others have, which is a shame because obviously Brighton are scoring loads of goals every time. Brighton not winning. I was hoping he would kind of be. I was listening to it in the car on the radio. So
every time they're not winning, you didn't win 7-2 or something. It was 3-2, right?
Goals.
You didn't score. Yeah, one of them from the penalty spot.
When was the last time you scored 3 goals?
I don't know. Against Brighton last year at home, actually.
Yeah, probably. He probably was. Yeah. Yeah, so I was a bit disappointed with everything, to be honest, and we go again next week.
Yep, we do.
Let's take a look at your team. We've pretty much covered everything off.
43. I'll read through it for the podcast. Ariola 3 points. Aït-Nouri was my big upside chaser. 1 point, 18 minutes, very disappointing. Who knows what he could have got if he'd have stayed on the pitch. He got that injury early on, and I was like, oh, please shake it off. Please shake it off. And he looked like he'd recovered, and I was like, no, he's going off. The agony of that when that happens to your player, it's awful.
On a Monday night as well.
Yeah, I only got him so I had some interest in the game, really. I did really think there was a chance of getting something from him. Now I don't know how long he's out for. He was only a short-term thing either. I could do with having him for the Burnley game week 15. So it might work out. He might miss Arsenal away and then come back for Burnley at home because he's on 4 bookings, of course. So perhaps missing the Arsenal game might work in my favour. You never know. Things work in mysterious ways. Aït-Nouri 1 point, Trippier 1 point. He's the one I need to start coming in again because I've struggled.
I don't know how he got 1 point.
He's got the 1 pointers, I know. He did. Yeah, he's still showing up well. Gabriel 6, Saka 8, Diaby 1, Son captain 4, Salah 5, Palmer 2, Haaland 7, Watkins 5. Lascelles on my bench, who would have started had I not bought Aït-Nouri because I would have put cash on the bench and started Lascelles, which is what my team looked like at the end of last week's show. But yeah, there you go. Who knows what might happen.
I love how we both dodged Lascelles. Maybe Livramento, you with Trippier and bringing in Aït-Nouri. Typical. I was waiting for someone to mention this. Nigel the Crab. 114 people captain Tavernier and got 37 points. Firstly, that's amazing. Congrats to 114 people. Secondly, that is the most outrageous goal I have ever made.
I don't understand
His first goals of the season.
It was crazy.
And Solanke blanks. Exactly
Absolutely
what I said.
amazing.
That is weird. I saw those 2 goals and I was just like, am I in like the twilight zone? Well,
I don't know.
Predict this like that's actually used for anyone. Why's it got to be
I don't know how you did it. I really don't know how you did it. when he scored the first, I was like, wow, that's some foresight from Az. And then he got the brace just as you predicted. Incredible stuff.
For anyone what we're talking about, if you listen back to last week's Black Box, in the predictions for Bournemouth, I predicted Bournemouth to win, and Mark was kind of saying, so you think Solanke's going to get something? Because I'd been kind of knocking Solanke all episode. And I was like, no, Solanke won't get anything. It'll be a Tavernier brace. And that's exactly what happened. Really weird. Really, really weird. Oh, thank you to Kenneth M. Thank you. And the support team. The support team being Billy and Nigel the Crab.
My 12-year-old son and Nigel.
For making the Godfather tier such a pleasurable visit each day. Great additional content with Mark's walkabouts. Leave the prediction league. Cheers, boys. You are very welcome, Kenneth, and thanks very much for being a part of it.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Billy would be chuffed at that. Like, shout out for the support team.
I love that.
He's in the chat, actually, Billy.
I saw him. Yeah, he was giving it large, I think, wasn't he? I saw him.
Oh, no, don't highlight any of his comments. I think you
I like this one. Let's be honest. You wish you could always turn him down in your ears. Giving it large to me.
There you go. Good comment, Billy. Like it. Yeah.
I prefer it when he's slating you, to be honest. So this is the great and the good. I mean, there's basically if you went Son, you got a red arrow. That's effectively what happened. I think there was only Seb who went for Son and still managed a green. I'm second from bottom. You're second from the top. The biggest kind of interesting thing, though, I think, is with the captain points spread, because that is where we're kind of all trying to diverge our teams a little bit. Jan Kepski at the top with 232 points from his captain, and that's the highest. Second is Fabio, who is down in 12th with 222. So he's been getting his captains right, just not other bits. You're on 188. That puts you kind of nearish the bottom. I'm on 152.
Terrible, miserable output.
Do you know
Absolutely shameful.
I need to analyse that.
Have you noticed? Have you been noticing that?
I mean, I didn't go for the Salah or Haaland last week, so that was 10 points lost. But I didn't really think it was another kind of 30 points on top of that one. I need to look into that because I didn't think I'd been playing that differently with a captain apart from that week.
Yeah,
that is appalling. If I had 30 more points, I'd be
you'd be still struggling.
I'd be one place up.
Yeah, but I think that also finding that out in this week's not easy, because this week actually the captaincy is a real 50-50.
It's not for me.
Is it not? Okay. Well, let's save that because I want to see how impassioned you are about your choice. I've changed my mind on it going into the show. So, and I'm quite committed as well. But let's see where you are first. Let's wait until we get to that section. Bit of a teaser for the listener there.
And if you are captain the same player as me, the evidence suggests
take it off. That's why I want to wait and see before I commit. I want to hear what you say, and then I'll go the opposite. Yeah.
Has yours changed from what you set? What you've sent in then?
Yeah, no, I've gone with what I've sent in, but it was the other way round. It was with my bus team. So yeah, I do. Do you do that thing? Do you when the game refreshes? And Seb was talking about this on the Scoutcast. Do you instantly go in and start picking your team for them? Yeah. So I normally set it then, and normally that's the screenshot I send to you. But I've changed it since then. So.
Okay, I need
reasons we will go into.
Yeah, I need to. So when I do that when I set the captain and things, I've made it my mission to not change it, and I keep changing it, and I keep losing out on points.
Well, that says you're doing something wrong.
I think the first instinct with captain is often the best.
Right. Okay.
And he talks about instincts, and I'm going to look at loads of stats to change people's minds about what to do.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look at some team data defence then. Is this the right table this time, Mark, or do you need to?
Yes, thank you for the dig. Yes, and the badges are correct. I think I had a quick check of that. So
yeah, no, they look very nice. Yeah, very impressive.
It's working this week. Yeah,
it is. We got Arsenal at the top, another clean sheet for them away from home.
Yeah, really solid, right?
Yeah, I think if you haven't got an Arsenal defender, you need to be thinking of getting one. Who'd you get if you get any of the Arsenal defenders? Well,
I think we're going to look at players in a bit, but I think you could argue you want to try and get two, don't you, for the Christmas run? I would say. I think Saliba's the go-to. Gabriel is the kind of like the poor relation to Saliba, and then you want to try and get Raya in, don't you? I think that's the way to go. I mean, I looked tonight at their team sheet. Tomiyasu starts, White's on the bench, Zinchenko starts, Tomiyasu could be a cheeky 4.5, but because he's starting tonight, we don't know what Arsenal are going to take into the Wolves game. I would have said if White started tonight, Tomiyasu would definitely be a starter, either at right or left side. Where do you think that's at? Do you think Zinchenko's first choice, or do you think he's in rotation with Tomiyasu? Do you think White's first choice?
It's White that's had the benchings, hasn't he?
Yeah. And Zinchenko's had one as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think that Zinchenko is too important given with Gabriel. I mean, if Kiwi plays, maybe things change around a little bit, but I think Zinchenko is nailed on. I don't really know what's going on with Ben White. Ever since he got that new haircut, he's been a bit kind of...
That'll be the reason.
In and out. I don't think Arteta likes that kind of thing.
Yeah, it will definitely be the grade of shave that he's had on his head.
I think I'd prefer Zinchenko over Tomiyasu or White if I was going to go for one.
Right, out of those three. So I think the running order is Saliba, Raya, Gabriel, and then take a chance on one of the three fullbacks.
Yeah,
right? That's
I think
the
so.
order.
Yeah, Saliba's a lot of money now, though, isn't it? Was he 5'4"?
He is 5'5".
Yeah.
I had a look this morning. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, a good comment here from Slaughter PFK. Raya doesn't offer saves and many bonus points. He doesn't. We'll look at keepers in a minute, but that is true because of the data we saw there. If you look at the number of shots that Arsenal are allowing, if you go back to that, I think it's like 8 a match. It's really low. Yeah, 8.54 chances conceded per 90. I mean, City are even stronger, 7.54. Those two miles ahead, aren't they, really? From Newcastle in third and Everton fourth, 1.16 XG conceded on penalty.
Has he had any
90.
bonus points this season, Raya? He's had one game where he got bonus points, and that was in a 1-0 win against Everton. I mean, they're not scoring sort of buckets of goals, are they? So he's got. If it's a 1-0, then the goalkeeper's always got a chance of getting some, especially because his distribution's good. But that is a bit worrying, isn't it? He's 4.9 now as well. He was 4.8 a few weeks ago.
One thing we learnt from the Brentford game is that Raya's not going to lose his place to Ramsdale, right? I think that's pretty sure, because Ramsdale looked shaky again, didn't he? So I think we can say that Raya's pretty safe now. We thought that anyway, but even more so after that appearance from Ramsdale. So
it was pretty bad, almost. But the one where he threw the ball into the ground was really weird. Yeah, say that. Really odd.
And his confession that he loses concentration within the 90 minutes.
That really hasn't helped.
What's he got, like Sudoku, and just does a bit of a do that, because I need to concentrate.
Have you seen that video that accompanied it of the bird with him like, oh, a bird?
Yeah, I know. It's not what you want to hear from a first class footballer, is it? Especially a keeper. So yeah, I think you've got to have one, possibly two. I'm trying to get two in for Christmas, definitely.
Yep. I'm just going to turn you down a little bit because I've had a comment that I'm a little bit low. So if I turn you down 2,
okay,
and that might help things a little bit. There we go. So then we've got Man City. I mean, I don't see any teams with any Man City defenders at all. But the stats are, a little bit off Arsenal's, but still elite. I mean, the XG conceded on penalty per 90 of 0.84. That is really low. But who'd you get?
Yeah, there's nowhere to go, is there? That's the problem with City, and we've never been able to nail a starter, and they've never really given us that security of start that means we can pin our colours to the mast with it. So I think it's basically as many Arsenal defenders as you can get, and then defenders with upside is the way to go. Now, I tried that with Aït-Nouri, so I'm going to move on to another defender probably. I guess you've got Livramento. I think the Newcastle defence is probably next best after Arsenal in fantasy terms. And if you can't get to Trippier, then Livramento or Lascelles are probably worth carrying over Christmas. I'm not going to waste time on a Botman injury again. I think Lascelles will get you the games over Christmas. What's their fixtures like? If we go to Newcastle, I think they do improve quite markedly coming up. They've got a good run. Yeah, they have. You've got that Fulham, Luton, Forest run, 17, 18, 19. I think the concern for them, if you bring the Legamane festive crush thing up, is the European games. Now, the Milan game between game week 16 and 17 is kind of crucial now because they can still progress. And then they've also got the Carabao Cup.
Right? They have to win that game.
They have to win, I think. Yes, that's right. And hope that the results go their way. And then they've got the Chelsea quarter-final in the Carabao Cup, which they'll probably take seriously as well. So that's the problem with Newcastle. But Did you see their bench last night? I mean,
Well,
they didn't make a single substitution.
No, and they promoted Miley, haven't they, from the kind of thing who's been doing really well and looks a huge talent. I mean, that's come at a good time because they're having to call on players like him. I mean, if they get another injury in defence, I don't know what happens. I mean, what happens if Cher or Lascelles get injured or
Hall's
Trippier?
back, isn't he?
Yeah,
so they'd have to move. I don't know. I mean, it'll be really makeshift, won't it? I mean, luckily Charles not injury prone. Oh God, he is. Yeah. So I mean, it's only a matter of time before he used to go down in every game, didn't he? Clutching his ankle. That was a routine for him. And Lascelles is doing really well. I'm really surprised they're getting as many games out of him at a high level. For him to be playing league and European games, and making a good fist of it. It's not. I didn't think at his stage in the career he was able to do that at a top level, but he's played well. So I think Howe's been fortunate that Charles and Lascelles have done so well. We thought that Trippier could get a rest over this period, but I can't see where, because unless I guess he can bring Hall in and put Livramento at right back for one of these games, maybe that will happen. But I think he's so crucial to them.
Fulham at home. I mean, that if you were to, it's Spurs and then Milan and then Fulham and then Chelsea. So Fulham is the one where we might see some rest, but also they don't really have a lot of options to rest players.
But I think that's the hot spot. I think you're right. I think if you're looking at a Newcastle defender there, either Livramento or Lascelles, it could be that they get the rest in 17. But Lascelles can't drop out. I don't see who they could bring in. So Dummett could play there, I guess. So there's an option there, but.
Yep.
That's about it. That's all he's got. So I think for me, you need an Arsenal defender. You need at least one Arsenal defender, hopefully two. You need a Newcastle defender. You avoid City. And then where do you go from there? I mean, Tsimikas, I think, should see us through Christmas, and Liverpool's defence is strong enough. And then you're probably taking a punt on your fourth and fifth defender. Are you going? We talked about Reece James previously. I don't think you're going there, but Colwell could be an option with the turn on Chelsea's fixtures, right?
Well, James is an interesting one, isn't he? Because we kind of talked about him last week. I was saying I quite like it. You were saying that you weren't as convinced, and then he goes and gets a red card. And I'd seen him brought in by a fair few, people to get ahead of the curve and try and just be a bit different, because defence seems to be where the kind of interesting picks maybe, and then you pick someone like James and he gets a red card, so it's not ideal. He's the fun one. I still think he's the fun one to get, and maybe him having a bit of a rest in this week is a good thing, because it means we can wait a bit and assess and then get him in the week after. But there's no one else. Honestly, I can't.
Maguire. What do you think to the United revival?
Yeah, I mean, it's happening, isn't it?
The fixtures are bad though. That's the thing. As the next four show here, they're bright red. I think their fixtures are pretty tested.
Toughest run.
Yeah, so that's the thing that puts me off going United. Maguire is cheap, but Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Liverpool.
Yeah. I
mean, Bournemouth is not an easy fixture, even at home. So I don't see a clean sheet in any of those games, really. So I think you've missed the boat, really, on United, I would say. Let's look at the next 6 data. Have you got that there? Because that might... I mean, this is why I went 8-0, because Wolves are high up there. Brighton, their data belies
I cannot.
their ability
I just
to keep
can't
clean
believe
sheets, right?
that. I just can't understand how Brighton are fourth in terms of XG conceded non penalty, because we just seem to get got at so easily. But I think it's just to do with the fact that we have so much possession in games. I saw a really weird stat about Brighton. It was something like, when games that we've had. This might not be completely right, so take it with a pinch of salt. But it was something like, in games...
We're all used to that, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. In games where Brighton have had 70% or more possession, they've lost 4 out of 5 of the games this season. Something like that. And that's because teams hit us quickly when we've got possession, and we can't seem to deal with it. The West Ham game was perfect.
Yeah. And Everton did it to you last season. Remember, they turned you over. So that's what we tried to do again, but it didn't quite work. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this reveals anything new to us other than look at the Spurs defence. That's what I took from this. Down in 17th, 1.61 XG conceded non-penalty over the last 6. They've obviously lost their last 3 matches. They're absolutely ravaged by injury, and that may or may not play into your captaincy decision this week, right? So, because they've actually had the easiest fixtures, or some of the easiest fixtures over the
Royale
last 6
and
as
Davis at centre-back. That is... What is going on there? They should not be. Where's Dyer? Why is
on
Dyer
the bench?
Yeah, but
he's on the bench
over 2 like fullbacks playing at centre back.
Well, Ange likes comfort on the ball, I guess. So, and Dyer's not that, is he?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so the Spurs defence was a surprise to me, being that far down.
Brentford as well, I think, being so low, down in 18th. It's a surprise. And Chelsea as well in 14th, given that the run they're going to have is quite good. But all of these teams, if you look at the last 6 difficulty, they're all quite high in terms of they've been playing tough opponents.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect other than Spurs.
Yep.
Attack?
Yeah, so we've got Liverpool in top, right at the top of this table, with a chance per 90 of 17.3. Which is it? Well, I remember last week we were looking at it. It was kind of way higher than everyone else, but it has kind of balanced out because we've got a few teams in and around the.
Well,
16.
the data was wrong last week. Thanks for bringing that up again.
That wasn't even yeah. Okay, fine. Well, there's a few teams in and around 16. So the teams around them are Man City with a chance per 90 of 16, Spurs as well with 16 as well. So it's really those 3 teams kind of right at the head of this. But in terms of actually 90, non-penalty per 90, it's Liverpool, Newcastle. And then Villa, but Liverpool right at the top and have the best fixtures over the next 4.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? I mean, we've only got Salah, and this is with the Jota news to the injury. Do we now have to promote Darwin in our thinking? And does that mean downgrading Watkins with the fixtures he's got, or does it mean going 3 up top? That's the.
He was really, really poor against City in terms of his kind of decision making. It looked like when he came off the bench against Newcastle, he got the ball and he scored like twice with just great touches and then finishes. And then he plays against City and he's got opportunities to do a similar thing. And he's like, oh no, I better give it to Salah, but it's completely the wrong pass and just messes it up. He is a weird player to watch. I think the comparison to him being Schrodinger's like fantasy player is perfect. You're scared when you own him. You're frustrated you're scared of him when you don't own him. You're frustrated with him when you do, because
it's the first time he started after the break, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And I wonder whether that showed, because he was ineffective and he hasn't really delivered. For those who sold Haaland and were banking on Darwin to kind of help bridge the gap, he hasn't really delivered for you. So that's been one of the drawbacks with losing Haaland. Darwin hasn't played his role in that. But with those fixtures, if we go to the ticker, I mean, it is a good run, isn't it?
He has 1 goal in his last 8 games, Darwin. That's rubbish.
Yeah. But you look at this, Fulham, Sheffield United, Palace.
Fulham and Sheffield United, the next 2 is
the next 2.
Lovely.
Yeah. And with Watkins obviously going to Man City and Arsenal in 15 and 16, I'm tempted to look at Watkins to Darwin now and get Darwin for Fulham and Sheffield United, because it depends on the Liverpool team sheet. Obviously, he might not start, but I think he will. I don't think Gakpo starts ahead of him. I think if Gakpo starts, he might even start in midfield. So I'm tempted by Watkins to Darwin this week as well.
This week, even though Villa got Bournemouth?
Maybe. Yeah, because I don't think Bournemouth's an easy game, the way they're playing now. I mean, they've got confidence, and Villa away haven't been particularly impressive. They were at Spurs against a very weakened side, but they were pretty poor at Forest. So I don't know. It is a temptation, because I think Darwin's going to have a spell at some point this season where he goes crazy and gets like 3 or 4 goals over a couple of games. And it would be lovely to time it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it won't be now. It will be, probably United and Arsenal in 17-18 when people are, I don't know. He is, I mean, there's a highlight reel, if you haven't seen it already, of some of Darwin's misses. And just the look on Salah's face makes it, the amount of times Salah has teed up Darwin and he's just smashed it over the bar, smashed it wide. It's like, how long does he get, like, before Klopp just goes, I can't. Imagine how stressful it is for him watching this. It's stressful for us. In the team.
Yeah, I mean, Klopp's trying everything. He's building his confidence up. He's praising him, and it's just going to take time.
I've never seen a player so poor at finishing than Darwin, though.
Oh, that's going to be all over the Twitter sphere. That is.
Like currently, I can only speak about what I've seen over the last season and a half, but I've never seen a player playing for a top side like
Timo
this who
Werner?
makes so many misses.
Timo Werner was bad.
Werner and Torres spring to mind at Chelsea. But I mean, Werner was just offside all the time, wasn't he? He's like kind of football brain attacking wise wasn't that switched on. I think Darwin's football brain is clearly there. He gets into great positions and he uses his body well and he's a big presence. But purely from finishing, he is dreadful.
It's every week, isn't it? I think every content creator is saying every other week they're saying when's the time to go to Darwin. It's just the fixtures, these next three in particular, make me think this could be worth a gamble, and losing Watkins to get him. But yeah, and the data backs it up as well. I mean, Brentford is impressive, isn't it? Right up there, 1.73 xG non-penalty per 90, and they've got easy fixtures as well, which is why it's promotes Mbeumo. I mean, it's not even worth thinking about, is it?
I hate transfers like that. I hate just kind of like locked in transfers that you just kind of have to make. And there are other options, and I'm not going to say if people are thinking of losing Watkins to Darwin because they want to target those two fixtures, maybe that is a more pressing transfer than moving someone to El. I mean, if you've got Diaby to Mbeumo is just the easiest move you could make. And I say that before like Diaby's hat trick against Bournemouth or whatever, but on paper. We talked about it earlier, but with the fixtures the way they are coming up, with Diaby kind of being out the team, with Brentford's attacking stats not being that far off Villa as well, to me that was just a really easy move. Say you had Gordon instead of Diaby, and then you had like Palmer, Son, Saka, Salah.
Far more difficult.
Where does he fit in? Because I think, given what we've seen from Gordon in the last game, that it would be a really difficult sell for me.
Yeah, Newcastle here, 1.81, second only to Liverpool. The thing we talked about Gordon, the drawback with Gordon previously has been the fixtures. We've already looked at how much of a crush that Newcastle have got with the European and Carabao Cup tie as well. But they don't have options at the moment. Barnes isn't back on grass as far as we know, so that's not happening any day soon. And if anything, Gordon could end up being rotated with Isak down the middle because Isak can't play every game. So I think Gordon is still... I mean, I talked him down a little bit on late tackle, and then immediately regretted that after the returns because I do think he's back on the radar for me. In terms of, I'm not going to keep Mbeumo. I don't think Mbeumo's going to go beyond 2 or 3 games for me because I think I don't think he's essential. I don't think he's like one of the top 5 or 6 players you must have. For this run, he more or less is essential, I would say, because they're easier fixtures. But I think the only way I can bring some variation into my team is to sell somebody like Mbeumo, Watkins or Trippier, and out of those 3 it's going to be Mbeumo, I think, because obviously he's got the blank in 18. I think Luton, Brighton, Sheffield United, I'll hold him for those 3, but then after that I'll probably sell him going into 17, because if I go Gordon's, I think, where is he? He is home to Fulham. Yeah, then he's got Luton and Forest. So switching Mbeumo to Gordon at that point, if there is no fear of rotation, makes sense for me. So that's probably what I'm going to do because I need the money. I need the money to shake up somewhere else, or I just stick with the template. I don't know. Well,
the question is, if you say you do have that midfield I just mentioned, obviously Mbeumo is a great couple of fixtures coming up. I mean, it's not going to be easy for people without money in the bank to move Gordon to Mbeumo if they wanted to. So are you saying if you've got Gordon, you just hold through this run, or do you try and find a place for Mbeumo during this?
I think you've got to get Mbeumo for these next 3.
You think? It's hard to sell a player who's just got, 13 points?
Yeah, you'd hope you've got other routes in, don't you?
Because Manchester United as well at home, they're not exactly great defensively.
No, I mean, I just think that every now and then there's a period of the season where a player just leaps out at you, and we knew this was going to be the case for him, for Mbeumo, during, for the Luton fixture at home. It could fall flat, but he's been frighteningly consistent with his data, and he's got returns, and he should have arguably got more returns. So, and we're looking at penalties, aren't we, later on, and how important they are. So, if you're moving Gordon to Mbeumo, you're moving a player out. I think I'm doing late tackle with Andy. I'm sure I'm going to tease him about going Gordon to Eze. But
I know.
It was very unfortunate though, wasn't it? So I think what's interesting here, we talked about Darwin and as it opened up for him. I know you spoke about Solanke last week and you weren't particularly enamoured by him. But if you bring up the last 6 data, Bournemouth are 14th for the season. If you bring up the last 6 data, they jump up to 8th. 1.44 xG non-penalty per 90.
Good fixtures.
So clearly, they've had good
show.
fixtures. Yeah. But there's been progression. There's definitely progression there. I think that we've seen them grow as a team. is that down to Iriola's tactics finally bedding in, or is it down to just purely they've had easier games? I mean, it's hard to say, but I think that there are avenues open to us, like Gordon, like Solanke, where we can free up some money and move away from the template a bit, and maybe Darwin's that route as well. It's just, moving away from that template. Those 8 players are so settled in our team, aren't they? It's difficult to do. But I think I'm going to blink and make 1 or 2 moves in that direction.
It's interesting the last 6 because we see Spurs in 9th, so we're starting to see those games without Maddison and kind of the other key players. So I mean, they've had good fixtures, and Bournemouth and Wolves, for example, are ahead of them. I was really surprised to see Brighton down in 15th as well, because the defence data is actually quite good and the attack data's pretty
Dropped
bad.
off.
And it's like, well, that's exactly the opposite of what I thought it would be, given that we seem to score in every game and also concede in every game. So yeah, I think it's. I've got a decision to make with the Dingra this week, because obviously I've already made the move for Diaby out to Mbumo. So it's now, do I give a Dingra another week, or do I make that move to Palmer for a hit? So yeah, we'll talk a bit about that kind of at the end.
Yeah.
Let's talk about penalties then. So title of the episode is Spot the Difference. Here's the second one. Penalties of this year compared to last year.
Yeah, 24 penalties scored at this stage last season from 31 taken. So first of all, 7 penalties missed last season at this point. And at the same stage this season, 39 scored from 42. So players have become more adept at penalties, maybe. I don't know how much you read into that. But one thing you can't deny, more penalties awarded. And I've highlighted there in the table the players that are properly, high-tier fantasy assets. So Salah, Haaland, Palmer, Luiz, Saka and Bruno, Hwang, Gibbs-White and Eze are probably all players that we've flirted with in terms of either they're in our teams or we've considered them. And if you look at the same stage last season, it's not like that. It's Mitrovic, Kane, Tony, Haaland, Isak, Saka are probably the players we considered. That's not even half of what's on show. So not only have there been more penalties, I think the availability and feasibility of the players taking the penalties is higher this year. So it's a more crucial factor. I mean, yes, the added time probably is making the difference. It's adding more goals across the board, isn't it? So it makes sense it's adding more penalties. And perhaps the teams going into this season trained penalties and take penalties more seriously, and because of that, more penalties are being converted. The level of skill, scoring a penalty seems to have gone up. A lot of players are doing that kind of pause, and the Ivan Toney approach to taking penalties seems to be spreading across takers now.
They're clamping down on goalkeepers as well, not being able to move off their lines and being retaking it, I think has helped attackers too. Yeah,
exactly. So I think the techniques and the VAR role has all added to this as well, because they're checking encroachment, they're checking foot on the line, like you say. So they're a bigger factor, and it just so happens that we've got gifts like Luiz and Palmer, who we didn't foresee at the start of the season, being cheap options who take penalties, and Hwang as well. So he was another one, and we didn't expect that him to take the penalty necessarily for Wolves, but he took it, converted it, and he's already an asset that we considered, and now we've got to consider him even more. So having a team of a front 8 of penalty takers, or at least 6 or 7, is more than feasible, isn't it? And it's why Mbumo is probably near to essential for this run.
Well, I think as well, you look at these options, and it makes me look at someone like a Dingra who hasn't got penalties, and it puts me off. And even someone like Bowen, I think, because we don't think he's going to take it, because Paqueta will surely or take it, or sometimes. I mean, Bowen did take a couple last year. Up to this point, I think he did 2 and scored 1. But it's why the Salah, Haaland, Palmer, Saka, and Mbumo to me just looks so good, because they've all got good underlying stats, they've all got good fixtures, and they've got penalties. And then when I look at like Gordon, or I look at a Dingra, or I look at someone a bit different, I just think, you haven't got that route to pens that these people have. And yeah, I like that.
There's 2 players not on here: Son, who we think is going to take Spurs, and Solanke, who definitely takes Bournemouth. So those 2 are options as well, right? And in a lot of teams. So I don't think I've known a season where it's feasible to get to this many penalty takers, because often they're quite high priced. But you know, the likes of Palmer and Mbomo and Wang are all reasonably priced. And so you can have the high tier players who take penalties, but also have 3 or 4 takers who are mid tier and easily afford it. And yeah, dare I say, is it not suboptimal not to have them?
Oh, here it is. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I mean, the fact Spurs haven't had a penalty yet is absolutely crazy to me, given how attacking they are. But we like you say, we know that's going to be Son now, and I think it's just a matter of when. I mean, the fact Palmer's had 4 and Son hasn't had 1 is, very weird.
Yeah, and it means like players like Alvarez, players like Sterling. I mean, Bowen, like you say, we discussed them, but it is a factor, isn't it? It's definitely a factor in there. And Gordon.
And something I saw earlier, which I thought was really, really interesting, was from at FPL Meerkat. He did the talisman for their teams, and this is based on goal involvement. So really, really great account to follow. Does videos as well. I really like his kind of stuff. And you look at the talisman of these teams, and you look at Liverpool, Salah penalties, Haaland, Man City penalties. You mentioned Solanke at Bournemouth. You've got Mbomo, you've got Saka. Sometimes on pens as well, and Fernandes, and these are this can make up the bulk of a lot of our sides. You look at Newcastle with Gordon at 34% of the goal involvement. He has been doing well, and I think he's a great option. But this is why I think we're moving to some of these other players with penalties. Watkins losing penalties, I think, is a massive blow. For him. He's still doing well, but that maybe makes him a bit more expendable because
it does.
Someone with someone,
Solanke.
Yeah,
Solanke, or you move to another player without pens playing for a stronger attacking team in Darwin, don't you? So if you took pens, we wouldn't even be having that conversation, would we?
Can I just say how ridiculous it is that Bogle is Sheffield United's talisman according to this chart with 38% goal involvement. And you are
really struggling, aren't you?
He's had 3 goal involvements all season.
Yeah, you're really struggling with them, aren't you? I mean, Morris is a clear contender for Luton, but Bogle's Neto is one that's coming back. I mean, again, he's not. We don't think he'll take the pens, but he could again challenge the Wang ownership. I guess if you want a Wolves midfielder, he could come back and be a factor. He had a price drop, so he's another player like Gordon who could maybe shake things up. But I think penalties and talismans are having a bigger impact than ever this season on how we're shaping our teams. Yeah,
Brighton's interesting right down the bottom with Matoma with his 7 goal involvement, which is 28%, and we saw it again in the weekend. Gross's assists, Ferguson gets the goal. I really want to invest in Brighton, and I'm looking at it now. I'm thinking which one to get. I keep getting drawn back to Ferguson. I still think he's the one.
He's played every week. Yeah,
I think he's now. He had a bit of a spell where he had a little bit of an injury and things, but I think De Zerbi obviously really, really rates him. So if you are looking for a Brighton pick, it's probably him over João Pedro. I know he scored 2 goals, but I think I'd probably go for Ferguson now.
It's just a shame we can't get a nailed Brighton asset. Because
if Ferguson had pens,
no question.
I'd actually argue that he would be worth the risk, but he doesn't. And then you look at this list and think there's other good options.
Yeah. It's not long, I don't think, before Eze comes, the Palace talisman, but he just hasn't had the run of returns yet. He's played well, but now he's got the injuries out for 3 or 4 weeks. Elise could be a factor for them, but Palace are like Brighton. I don't think we're going near them for assets because, for different reasons, really. Attacking output's not strong, is it?
A few people mentioning... Whoops, I missed the overlay. A few people mentioning Isak.
Yeah, he will be on pens. Yeah, he will be when Wilson's out. So the only thing with Isak is, like, can he play week in, week out with the European games?
And he will be used in Europe, so you'd expect maybe Gordon to play up front in a couple of games.
That's right. Yeah. And he's certainly going to get subbed off as well. Yeah. So minutes at least, yeah.
Let's take a look at keepers. We've got a new option, not on this list, but
Kelleher.
Number 1 is out.
What do we think about this? Is this an opportunity? We think Alisson's going to be out for what, 3 or 4 weeks? Maybe 3 or 4 games is more likely. I think Klopp has said today he's going to miss the weekend, maybe the one after. I think we look at the fixtures and think he's going to be back for the United game, right? So we could get 3 games from Kelleher.
3 games, and 3 good games.
Yeah. He's a 3.9 option. Obviously, what it would do, though, if you've got Tsimikas and Salah, it means you're locked. You can't go Darwin in that spell. So you have to be absolutely certain you're not going to want to move to another Liverpool player, and by another Liverpool player, that is Darwin, right?
Point.
So you're locking yourself out of that. Is that worth it for the run? Can you bring the fixtures up? Because like in our situation, we've got Areola. So Areola has got where are they on this list? They're down near the bottom, aren't they? Mid-table.
No,
Palace,
mid-table.
Spurs, Fulham, and then Wolves. Good fixtures. But we've said that every week with him, haven't we? I mean, I prefer Kelleher with those fixtures. Fulham, Sheffield United, Palace. I think there's probably 3 clean sheets.
So do I.
So we've got to consider it, haven't we?
It's the locking out that's the concern. I think you've hit the nail on the head with that. I think if you had any, basically what happens if Watkins gets injured. I'm tempting fate here, but say Watkins got injured in the next game, and you wanted to move Watkins down. I don't want Solanke. You're not here by my rant last week.
Discovered that last week. Yeah.
Okay, for sensible people, I think you'd want. No, I think Solanke is a fine pick. All jokes aside, but yeah, I would definitely want to go to Darwin, and the worry is that you kind of lock yourself out of that. I mean, the one bonus is that sometimes we see like Man City or Spurs or someone, you might think, oh, maybe I'll. There's 2 players that I might want. It's only Darwin. So if you watch Darwin and you think, I don't want any part of that, which I think is,
face it, yeah,
which I can understand, then I think Kelleher's a really good pick, even for a hit. I mean, even if you did Turner to Kelleher for a hit, I would expect him to outscore Areola over the next 3 by 4 points.
I mean, it'll be painful though if you do it and then Areola keeps a clean sheet at home to Palace, which he could because Palace have got no Eze, of course.
I nearly did it this week.
He's not keeping a clean sheet at Spurs, is he?
I nearly did Turner to not Henderson. Who's the other one? Johnston this week.
Right.
Because I was like, surely Palace get the clean sheet against Luton, and then I've that's the 4 points, and then I've got a better goalkeeper going forward. Didn't do it. They both conceded. That's always the risk.
Yeah. I mean, this is Irish Shady saying, is anyone keeping clean sheets? No, apart from Arsenal. Not really.
I know.
And that's it. It's what we said earlier. You get an Arsenal defender, you get a Newcastle defender, and you get upside defenders, and your keeper. Is it worth spending that bit more if you go back to the data? I think Kelleher, go back to the goalkeeper data, that is, yeah. So I think there's so little in it, isn't it? But if you look at the points per 90, Alisson is out on top because he's been getting decent amount of saves per 90 as well as some clean sheets. 4 clean sheets and 3.38 saves per 90. I think Kelleher could keep that save rate up and easily get clean sheets over the next 3. The question is, of course, Kelleher's not as good a keeper as Alisson. Alisson's probably the best keeper in the world. So what kind of drop-off can we expect? And does that mean we can't count on clean sheets? What do you think?
If it was any other fixtures other than these 3, Fulham, Sheffield United and Palace, that is 3 pretty goal-shy teams.
Who's scoring for those teams?
I mean, Willian with pens for Fulham. Bogle for Sheffield United. That's kind of what you're
the talisman.
On.
Yeah.
And Eze's going to be out, isn't he? We think for a few weeks.
Be back for 16.
So, I mean, Sheffield United and Palace, I just cannot see those teams scoring in that game. And with West Ham playing Spurs, I think you're always guaranteed to get points in that. But
can we go back to the team data last 6 to see how Liverpool stack up there?
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty good, 1.13. So they're 6th overall. Only 11 shots per game, 1.13 XG conceded non-penalty per 90, which is, that's better than Newcastle. It's certainly better than West Ham, 1.30. Only just better. But the Liverpool defence was pretty impressive at City. I don't think they conceded too much ground. I think they have looked more solid. I think Klopp has found a formula in midfield which has helped. And Trent's not the liability he perhaps was at the start of the season. I think they're getting the balance right with his role. I like it. I quite like the Kelleher move, I'm really tempted with the 2 transfers to use one of them because I just want rid of Areola. Are you not pissed off of Areola?
I am sick of him, genuinely. I think I said it a few weeks ago. I was like, I go into every week expecting him to concede. And the only reason he hasn't been a complete disaster has been because everyone else has been so rubbish.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I can't keep relying on everyone else being rubbish, and because I'm fully expecting. The only thing is he's got Palace at home this week without Eze. So I'm just not totally sure this week is the week to do it. But
Well, Derek's saying here, I want Kelly, but then you're booking a transfer once Alisson comes back. Well, you are, unless you're getting rid of your 4 point. I mean, I've got a 3.9 keeper.
yeah, you get rid of the sub.
You're only booking in the transfer if you want that Liverpool slot back. And the only reason you want that Liverpool slot back, given that Salah, and don't forget Salah's going over AFCON, so you're going to lose one Liverpool player there anyway, probably, unless you're going to hold Salah, which I don't think people will do. So I don't think, in the short term, and when I say short term, I'm talking 6, 7, 8 game weeks, it's a problem. Unless you want Darwin now. Unless you're looking at Darwin and going, and it obviously with the fixtures, Darwin is a temptation, but you're only going to get Darwin if you're selling Watkins. So which is possible given the fixtures they've got.
I just think you should be able to work out now whether you want Darwin or not, because if you're going to buy him, this is the time to buy him. He's got good fixtures coming up. Jota's got the injury. Watkins' fixtures turn a bit hard in a minute. Like, just make your mind up now whether you're going to want Darwin or not. If the fact he scores 2 goals against Fulham, if that's going to sway you, then I don't know if that's kind of the right way to be. If you want to keep your options open, then obviously don't get him. But if you know now that you don't want him, great option, I think.
Well, Irish Shady grew up in the same street as Keller, so he's got absolutely. Like so the transfer is done.
Absolutely. Where's he from, Keller? Is he Irish?
No.
No?
I don't know. I can't remember what nationality he is, actually. Someone tell us in the chat, because I can't browse.
He's Irish.
He is Irish, isn't he? Oh, okay,
I don't know how I knew that, but...
That was inspired. Tell us more about... You're spot on with your spot in the Irish and your Tavernier predictions. Incredible.
Have you seen that interview they did with Ferguson? And they're like, why is it you decided to play for Ireland and not England? And he says it in his really thick Irish accent, because I'm Irish.
I'm Irish. Yeah.
So dumb.
Good point.
Thank you.
Right. Where are we now?
Do we want to look at keepers over the last 6?
Yeah, not really. Other than Flecken showing up well, which is interesting because, it's not what I expected. Because Brentford defensively, I guess, haven't been great. But I guess it's saves per 90, 3.11. I mean, a lot of people got off Flecken, didn't they, ahead of this run? So. I was surprised to see him up there. There's nothing else too much other than the fact that Ariola's terrible. Look, down in 20th. 1.83
he's next to the other
90.
goalkeeper that I'm looking to bring in, which is Sanchez.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I quite like that. I think that's probably the route I'm going to go, because I definitely want rid of Areola. And there's not really anyone that is massively standing out. And I think I'm probably not going to go for James because I just don't fully trust him anymore. So I think that would be the route into Chelsea, and then I'll just go with Palmer and Sanchez. But I mean, this doesn't look like great reading, does it?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. If you're going, I mean, like, it's possible for me to go Areola to Kelleher and then go Kelleher to Sanchez. If I know I'm going to move to Sanchez anyway.
2 moves though in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, that's only a problem if you're going to break away from the template.
Yeah,
you need to make loads of changes.
Yeah, that's true.
When we look at our teams, I don't look at my team and think I've got lots of work to do there. I look at my team and think I've got to force transfers on it, really, to be honest, at the moment. But of course, we don't know over Christmas what injuries are going to crop up. I think for me, one of my concerns is not having 3 active subs. And will I need that over Christmas? And the only way I can get to that is
get rid of Mubama now.
No, I know. The irony is he's now looking more likely to play than ever, isn't he? So yeah, I think I'll stick with him at the moment.
He must look at Danny Ings starting and think, oh, for God's sake, what do I need to do to get into this team? Moyes has played it down, but he's got to be given a chance. He looked great when he came on. And he had all those pre-season minutes. That's why we all went for him like early on. Yeah, looks a really good player.
He could yet be a hero for us.
Imagine that, your 4.3 million forwards.
Imagine that, like over Christmas, you go down to your 3rd sub and it's Mubama and he comes on and scores. That'd be amazing.
That's what it's all about. That's what we play.
That's what I want for Christmas.
Let's take a look at defenders over the season. So I've seen a few people saying we're the only content creators not recommending James. Yeah, I mean, he's a fun punt. He could do well. It's just a gamble, isn't it?
Well, we talked about will he play every game as well with Gusto there. He's talking up his fitness. I don't think he looked particularly fit in Newcastle. I thought he struggled over a period of that game. Yeah, I love him as a player, but I've always missed the target with him. I always get him in over a bad run, and you've been the opposite. So if you're not up for him, then yeah, don't know where we go with him, to be honest.
It's just Chelsea in general, isn't it? I mean, there's worries around James's fitness and things, but Chelsea generally, I mean, you saw Pochettino after that Newcastle game. He just said like they're not, the tackles are too soft. There's no, they do this. They have a decent game where they look all right. Score 4 goals against Man City, and then the next game, half of them look like they can't be asked to even be on the pitch. It's really weird. They're a really weird team.
Well, it's the fixtures, though, isn't it? That run they've got, the best run of 5 games that any team has got this season.
They had this at the start of the season, though. Jackson didn't exactly do much for owners. They struggle. In fact, they struggle against these teams that are going to set up the low block against them. There's going to be a lot of reliance on Palmer and getting Nkunku back into the side. There's still quite a lot of what ifs. I don't think the fixtures are necessarily.
So you would rather go Sanchez to cover the clean sheets than go in James because of the. I mean, it's
just to get rid of Areola. That is the only reason why. If I had an all right goalkeeper, I wouldn't really be thinking about it. But I'm so done with him. Just maybe try and tap into the clean sheets with him if they come. Because we saw already in the season that the Chelsea defensive data was pretty good. The trouble is they're kind of rotating a lot at the moment, aren't they? Like Colwill's out, Disassi has been playing but then didn't play in the team. Silva's been making mistakes as well.
Yeah, so I mean Colwill will be another option at 4-5 if we're more certain of his starts. He looked nailed on the start of the season, but now there's a little bit of uncertainty there. So yeah, I'm with you. I think I'd rather go Sanchez in goal because it's unless I go to Raya. If I go to Raya, but the only way I can go to Reece James is if I start looking at selling Trippier, which I'm just not going to do. So I don't think anyone with Trippier is considering James because they don't have the money. I think it's managers who don't have Trippier that are going, well, Reece James could outscore Trippier over this period because of the fixtures and we know what he can do. And I get it. I just think he might miss 1 or 2 games over that run.
I mean, looking at kind of maybe some other left field options, because obviously the fixtures are really good. We saw that the defensive data was pretty poor for Brentford, but we've highlighted, I'm going to butcher the name, is it Aya? I would have said
Pinnock as well. Yeah, they're quite popular targets. Pinnock in particular I've seen cropping up on the timeline a bit.
Well, Pinnock got his 1 goal of the season. Everyone kind of brought him in off the back of that. Saw his price rise. Aya hasn't. He's got an assist, but no kind of other attacking returns. I mean, one of those. I mean, I've got Gay here. You've got Aït-Nouri, who's potentially injured. There is a kind of seems to be a bit of a spot for a 4.5-ish player. Not awful picks.
No, this is what I'm not sure whether I'm going to go to. I'm going to wait and see how the Tomiyasu, how the Colwell situation shakes up before I make a move with that. The other option is that I try and upgrade Aït-Nouri, somehow try and get to Saliba, but I think that's going to be difficult. I think if I'm going to get a second Arsenal defender, it's going to be Raya in goal, and it'll be. Depends. If I go in Mbumo to Gordon, it gives me that money that I could possibly stretch to Saliba, I think. So it depends what I do with Mbumo, how far I downgrade him. But I think he's going to go because I just need that money to do something with my transfers. Otherwise, I'm restricted to, like you say, just swapping my 4-5 defender. Is that what I want to be doing? Maybe it is. But...
You've got Trippier, I've got Livramento, and we both have nothing in the bank, and you're complaining about money.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Livramento will come good.
Porro. A lot of people chatting about him. He's very popular. But the Spurs defence, I mean, you're not getting clean sheets, are you, at the moment?
You're very reliant on some attacking returns. I mean, he has had 4 assists over the season. If we look at the defenders over the last 6...
He's high,
as well. He's high, 0.27. Just under Simicast, for example, who got 2 assists. He's had 2 better assists. I mean, they all count. But yeah, Porro looks good. And, I went for Destiny over Porro on the wild card, and that was a disaster because taking away the -3 or whatever it was that Destiny got, Porro's done really well. His price has increased, and I probably would have held him because the attacking data has been there. So yeah, I like him. Yeah, Romero's going to be back as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got 1 more game left, hasn't he? Was it another 2?
Yeah, 1 more. 2. He's back after City.
Okay. So yeah, I do like Porro. I've coveted him for most of the season, and maybe if I can't get to Saliba, that's the route I'll go. We'll have a look at the Spurs fixtures in a minute. I think they're not too bad. But Mikalenko is another 4.4. Toffolo another 4.4. There are some upsides you can chase in that bracket, but it's Pinnock, Mikalenko, Toffolo. Are these the transfers we want to make?
I've made a transfer for Gay here. It's not that inspiring. I mean, what do you think of Forest? Because obviously Forest fixtures are good, and you're not going to be playing Brighton every week.
By the way,
I've got it. The new European one.
I wonder what you're going to show us there. Right, okay. Has that got a nice like pattern on it? Has it?
Yeah. It's got Brighton on there.
Yeah, just I thought that was a stain. I thought you'd drop your dinner down here.
How dare you? It's our European weird kit that we made.
Okay,
Which is nice.
yeah, limited edition. Yeah, I mean Forest fixtures are good, but at the moment defensively we look too exposed. I mean we're playing 4 at the back. When we were playing the 3 centre backs and wing backs last season, we had a run of home games where we looked pretty good. We had Henderson in goal. I think defensively at the moment we're too open, so I don't look at any of those fixtures and think clean sheets.
Really, not
I
even.
Really don't.
Yeah,
no.
I mean Everton have improved. Well,
Where
Everton have improved.
Score.
How Everton? I know. I don't want to keep slagging off Manchester United because I mean, firstly the Garnacho goal is right up there as one of the best goals I've ever seen. Like I'll always remember that goal. Way better than Rooney's. There's not even a comparison with Rooney's goal. You could argue the occasion of Rooney's made it better, but in terms of technique, running backwards and to hit it like that, absolutely ridiculous. But I can't believe Everton didn't take one of those chances that they had, and then it's a different game. And in the end, United were comfortable. But I mean, is that just Everton? Like are they just always going to have good stats, but just never?
Yeah. It's been the pattern, isn't it? At home, definitely at home. I think away from home, they seem to be taking more chances, and I worry. I think at the City ground, they're going to come and get something, maybe even 3 points. So we're going to concede in that game, and we're going to concede at Fulham and Wolves, and we're going to concede at home to Tottenham.
It's a no-go then, isn't it?
And Bournemouth. So it's a no-go for me. I also think Toffolo's not absolutely nailed. If I was going to go a Forest defender, I probably would take a chance on him. Murillo's another one. Murillo's a fantastic player, and he'll get a couple of assists eventually, but where they're going to come, I don't know. No, Forest are a no-go. I mean, Mikalenko is tempting for me if Everton's fixtures improve, but we've said they've never really got a block of fixtures where you go, oh, that's the time I want to invest in Everton. And it's true of this period.
Where do you invest here?
There.
There's nothing.
Where'd you go there? No. They've always got a difficult fixture somewhere in between a run. So there's not a time you're going to go there. So for me, I'm going to see what's going to happen with Colwell, because if he gets back into the team, that run, if I don't get Sanchez, is the way I'd go with my 4-5 defender probably. Or I might even go Livramento and have him instead of Lascelles.
You can't have Livramento. Get off him.
Well, he's more attacking, isn't he? I like him as a player.
He's my only differential against you.
Oh dear.
Oh God.
We can't do that.
Well. Did you see that? We said oh dear exactly the same time as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Spot the difference. We spend too much time together. Let's take a look at some midfielders. Then over the season.
Yeah, lots to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, Ansu Fati coming into seconds, but he's now injured, which is typical, just as he looked like he was maybe starting to kind of nail down a bit more of a run. Salah in 4th, 0.75. Bailey's at the top, and we joke about him always being at the top of this list, but I do think he's having more of a factor.
Is he not? He's going to get a start, isn't he, eventually?
Yeah.
I mean, the Christmas period is an excuse for Emery to try it out and to rest DRB. But Bailey came on and was impressive again. He seems to make an impression from the bench all the time. I think he has been disappointing when he starts, but he's going to get another chance. There's going to be a match over Christmas where DRB's benched, isn't there? I think.
I was when I bought DRB in on the wild card after watching him those first few weeks. Like I feared him every week, not owning him. He just looks so good. The pace he's got, I thought his finishing looked really good. They were playing him and Watkins, but it just hasn't really happened. I mean, he's down in 30th for expected goal development on paper 90, 0.46. That's equal with Gordon, for example. And he's had 9 attacking returns as well.
Yeah, he's done well.
Yeah, Gordon's had 10.
Yeah, we've got our money's worth out of DRB, but I think when you've got a run of Arsenal, they've got Arsenal and City to play at home. And if you're holding Watkins, you don't want to take 2 Villa attackers into that. So for me, it's not worth thinking about. You move off DRB, and at the moment it's in Mbumo, and then do you hold in Mbumo for the run, or do you move to Gordon, or do you even consider Sterling for Chelsea's run? I think the aforementioned penalties means that Sterling's probably off the radar, and we've got Palmer, of course, so doubling up on Chelsea even for that run perhaps is excessive. So for me, I'm thinking I either keep in Mbumo for the period up until AFCON when he goes away, or I move him out to Gordon a little bit earlier than AFCON for Gordon's good run, because that gets me the money. Hwang's another player we could look at, but I guess he's going to be away with the Asia Cup, right, with Son after that. So he's not long term either. So yeah, it's kind of, with Eze injured, Gibbs White could be an option. He's done well for people who took the punt on him this week. And if he plays more central, which he could now that Hudson-Odoi is back, Gibbs White could come into the reckoning. I've highlighted Brennan because his data over the last 6, if we move to that, has been really high. If we go to that, because him and Doku have really shown up over the last 6. So Brennan is like third on this, 0.66 XG on penalty per 90. Doku moves from outside of the 30 up to 13th, 0.46. What do you think on Doku? Do you think that, I mean, he's like Reece James, isn't he? He's a fun pick. We don't know he starts every game. He's obviously not going to. But do you think he's worth going with at any period of time?
I like it because I think he is that kind of wildcard option that Pep hasn't really had. But what is interesting, I mean, is Grealish at Villa was a lot like Doku, like in terms of the way he dribbled and the way he played.
And he changed him.
And it's like, I'm going to change you into a ball retention player, and then I'm going to replace you with what you were before I did that.
Well, he had Mahrez though, didn't he?
Yeah,
So,
that's what I mean. I just think they need that bit of electricity. I really like him as a pick. We're looking for ways to tap into to Man City, but no penalties. And
it's boring, isn't it, to say that?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you have to think like that.
And I look at Sterling, for example, with the fixtures they've got, and I actually think if I was going to take a bit of a punt and try and be a bit different, maybe it's the double up with Sterling and Palmer that I'd go for.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that could be an option.
Yeah, I mean Sterling's down in 36th, so the Doku's stats kind of are quite a bit better, but. Yeah, it's just always
especially three goals, 3 assists in his last 6, right? So it's strong. It's just that run. It's how much we put faith in Chelsea
and they've got the blank
fixtures.
Doku's got the blank as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So how much we put stock in, is Palmer enough for that run? Or do we invest in the defence and do we go there? We're not going to go Jackson, let's face it. Surely not. Maybe in a few weeks' time we'll be here discussing Jackson as an option. I'd like to think we're not, but I think Sterling is still he's in that second tier, isn't he, of midfielder who's not taking penalties, who's got good fixtures, who plays every game, who could be an element we can use to shake our teams up and just push on. But you've got to have a good reason to move away from the template at the moment. And until AFCON, we don't have it, I don't think.
No. What do you think of Garnacho? Because we talked about Man United's fixtures. They scored another goal in the Champions League tonight.
4-7. Started the last 4 now.
4-7. Yeah, I mean, his underlying stats are really poor. I mean, 0.26. It's only slightly better than Adingra. Who'd own him?
Yeah, but he has. I think that over the last 6, he started 3 of the last 6. Okay, but he started the last 4 in all comps. 2.10 shots in the box. He's in the top 10 here. So, he's having opportunities. Touches in the box is high. That's also in the top 10. 4-7 is whether or not we don't need to go to him because we've got Palmer, so money's not tight enough where he's an essential. You are taking a risk, and United's fixtures over the next 4 are really tough, so that's unfortunate. If he stays in that team, though, which I imagine he is, surely he's ahead of Anthony, isn't he? Do you not think?
100%. Why wouldn't he be? He's looked better in the games that I've seen him play, and Anthony I just don't think he's good enough to play for a top team in the Premier League.
So he's an incredible enabler if you want to go free.
I didn't realise he was that cheap. Actually, I thought he was like 5.5. 4.7 is very interesting. But then you're using a spot for a player playing for Manchester United who hasn't got the route to points. Is he better than Palmer, for example? Probably not.
Well, yeah, but he's better than Mubama, isn't he? And you're paying 4.3 for him. So if you're really convinced that Solanke or Darwin is the way to go and you're going to play 3 up top with Watkins and Haaland, you can go Garnacho and get yourself a regular starter in a United team that, okay, they're not going full tilt in attacking terms, but they are winning matches, and he is showing up now. No doubt his talent. He's going to be, I think he's going to be a fantasy asset in seasons to come. I think he's going to be in the top 20 of this table in a few seasons' time. I don't know if he's going to get there this season, but maybe we're seduced by the overhead kick. But
I mean, when you're scoring a goal like that, it's. I mean, we had a player who did that. Who was Johannes Back. Remember him? He scored an overhead kick and then never played
Disappeared.
again.
Yeah.
So it does happen. But yeah, I like him. And do you see him giving actually giving his boots away to the kid at the end of the match as well?
Oh no, I didn't.
No, it was really nice. It was his birthday, and he surprised him with his boots from the thing. I mean, they'd be worth a bloody fortune. The kick he scored that goal with.
Just to highlight Saka here, 34th. Look, 0.35.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this Saka Son thing? Because people are questioning both of these players at the moment. Son is up in 6th, 0.53, and we'll talk about him in detail in a minute. Are you worried about Saka's drop-off on shots? Like 0.86 shots per 90 over the last 6 game weeks is pretty poor.
He hasn't scored since game week 7. I mean, that is a crazy stat for him, given how strongly he started the season. He scored against Forest, scored against Fulham in his first 3 matches. I mean, Arsenal's attacking stats we saw aren't the best. They're still struggling to click as well. I thought he was completely anonymous in the game against Brentford until he popped up with a great cross, like brilliant cross, and a good finish from Havertz. But that assist and then a couple of bonus points he got off the back of it feels like they're kind of just masking what we're seeing here. But I don't know. I just feel like Arsenal, the fixtures are quite good. And I can just see them a game where they just get 3 or 4 and he gets like a 15-pointer out of nowhere.
I think there are other priorities at the moment. But I think he's going to be under the microscope. We've got to see this data climb, otherwise this will turn into a lull in output. He's ticking over at the moment. He's doing enough for him not to be a major problem. But I think any FPL manager who's looking at him, or any FPL manager who's got an eye on the data, is looking at him going, how long before this data starts to have an effect on his output? I guess sides are just closing him down, and Odegaard and Martinelli are lesser a factor. So that's the problem. I think he's being let down by the players around him in terms of their influence on the matches.
I think they're struggling with a few things. I think Martinelli's had a really poor season overall. Trossard's played well in the games that he's come in. I wonder if we're going to see more of Trossard and maybe less of Martinelli kind of going forward. They've obviously had injuries at the striker position with Jesus, with Nketiah, sometimes with Trossard. Odegaard's been injured, and he's not really been as influential as we saw from him last year. I mean, the biggest loss has to be losing Xhaka, because I think they're feeling that the most, because I think Havertz was obviously brought in to replace that and just hasn't got going at all really this season. So they're still adapting to things like that. I just think, I keep saying every week, but I just think things will improve for Arsenal. They'll be delighted to be where they are in the table, given some of the performances they've put on this season. Yeah. And
it's defence, they're building off that, aren't they?
Building off the defence. And I think, with Odegaard back now, with Trossard maybe getting a bit more run in the team, Havertz another goal tonight, maybe a bit more confidence for him as well. I think they'll start to kick on. I just wouldn't want to be without Saka. I just think he's going to push into the realms of like elite FPL asset. He'll get close to 200 points again this season. Yeah,
well, if he's going to do that, he's going to have to find his way up this table. So let's see. Let's track him over the period. But for now, he's a keep. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, the one sort of player that everyone's kind of thinking about, we did touch on earlier, is Son. What to do with him? Over the last 6, non-penalty XG of 0.53. That's good. That puts him 6th in the table. I mean, if you take out players like Fati, like Richarlison, who are not going to go near that, obviously
and Brennan, he's 3rd.
And Brennan. Well, Brennan's a half decent pick though, isn't he? You wouldn't go near. Well, you can't go near Richarlison and Fati because they're injured. So it's kind of what do you do with Son? So just first, let's have a look at his kind of season kind of comparison over the last few years. So it was really kind of 21-22 that he had his best season, 23 goals, Golden Boot winner, got 10 assists as well over that period. His XGI non-penalty per 90 that season was 0.64. Well, look at this season. It's not that far off that, 0.61.
No, I was surprised at that.
Yeah, so in terms of non-penalty per 90 XG, it's like Sonny's having a season similar to obviously where he had that really good season. His big chance created is up, 0.59. Compared to 0.3. And interestingly, his touches in the box so far is the best it's ever been, 6.25.
We'd expect that of him playing down the middle, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was nothing here that made me think, actually, I need to think about selling him. His shots per 90, 2.79 is, is only, you'd have to go back to 1920, 18-19 seasons to better that. So it's actually improved into he's taking more shots per 90 than last season, and even 21-22 when he got the 23 goals. chances created is still ticking along at roughly 2 chances per 90. And as you say, the XGI is up on last season, 0.61 to 4.6 from 4.6. And he's accountable for 41% of their goals, he either assisted or scored. So, yeah, there's no urgency here for me in selling him. His accuracy is pretty consistent. It's very consistent, isn't it, over the seasons? And that's still high. So he's hitting the target of 50% of his shots, as he normally does. And he's converted 24%, which is actually up on last year, but on a par with 21-22. So we know he's capable of maintaining that rate of conversion. It's just, obviously, at the moment, Spurs are struggling with injuries, right? That's the problem.
The only stat that's really alarming-ish in a sense is the big chances per 90. I mean, it's not that alarming, but it's 0.59. That's the one where in 21-22, it was 0.9. So he was effectively getting a big chance every match, and he's a bit off that. And that's more consistent with, like, I don't know, like some of the one, like 19-20.
Well, that was Kane, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Kane, the provider.
exactly.
So he's missing that. And with Maddison out, we could see that starting to drop. And we saw with the attacking data for Spurs over the last 6, they've dropped to mid-table. So this is a concern. I think we need a couple more matches to see it. And I think I've said before, he doesn't need high-quality chances to score points. So I think he's a hold for now. But like Saka, he's one that we're monitoring. Because, like I said, we're looking for ways out of the template, aren't we, in a way?
Where do you go, though? Like, there's no one around 9 million that you can go to. So you
go to 3-4-3. You go to Darwin up front, don't you?
This is it. I think it's Son or Darwin. I can see why people might be wanting to move off Son for that. But I look at these stats. I look at the way Spurs play. I know there's been a bit of a dip, but I'm happy to. I look at that Villa game and just think, I don't know how he didn't get any. If Son had scored a goal and got a couple of bonus in that game, I don't think anyone's really thinking about it as much as they are. It's only because he blanked. I think he was bloody unlucky.
Yeah, and Spurs created, decent XG in the game. So I just think we need to see. Well, let's see what they do at City. Normally Spurs would go to City, even under other managers, previous managers who are more defensive. They'd still create there on the counter. So you'd actually go, yeah, I'm going to play Son because they'll catch them on the break and there'll be a threat. And under Ange, you'd expect definitely they'll create. So let's see what they do there. Let's see.
I love your first name terms with a certain.
Well, I'd rather go Ange than Postecoglou, but just to prove I can say
Very
it.
good. Yeah, I'm impressed. If you were to replace Son, I mean, these are the options that we talk about, and similar to the ones we talked about Bowen last season, because there isn't really. I mean, you could go to Fernandes, who's in and around the same price, but you're probably going to drop down to one of these: Mbumo, Gordon, Doku, Sterling, Palmer, Gibbs White, or Kudus. Yeah,
it's dropping to one of these and then going free up front, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then rotating over. I mean, it gets you that extra active player over Christmas, which might be very handy. But you give yourself a benching headache, maybe.
Son to Palmer and Archer to Darwin, if you've got 2 free transfers, is quite a nice attacking kind of move.
Yeah. I'd say. If you haven't got Palmer. Yeah. But if you have got Palmer, then you go Gordon, because presumably you haven't got Gordon and Palmer. I mean, in Mbumo for this period, no doubt. But again, a lot of managers have got him already. We've talked about Doku already. I think for me, not having penalties and the rotation risk for me is still a problem. Gibbs White does have penalties. Not a bad bet. Kudos. I don't know about West Ham. I mean, I worried about Bowen. So for me, out of this selection, Mbumo, if you haven't got him for sure, Gordon and Palmer. Would you double up on Gordon and Palmer? Yeah, you could, I think. Those two, and then having Darwin up top, or even Solanke. And I'm going to mention him again so you give in. I just think you're being very oddly partisan against him. But yeah.
Better options. You said last week you'll get you like 1 goal in 3. I want better than that. Twisted Soul to us, why is Saka not in this table? I mean, he's not in the table because we're assuming that most people have him because his ownership's like 65%. Not everyone does, though. I mean, FPL Harry, for example, doesn't have Saka. Would you? And we talked about Saka's stats not being the best. Would you move Son to Saka if you could?
Can we bring the ticker up and have another look? God, we brought the ticker up a lot tonight, but yeah, it's important. Let's go. Obviously, the City game. Then it's West Ham, Newcastle, Forest, Everton. 3 of the next 4 at home. I wouldn't be selling Son with 3 of the next 4 at home. No. I mean, Newcastle at home is not an easy game. Where does that Newcastle game drop in Newcastle's fixtures if we go to Legamane.
It's just before the Champions League.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not saying that will distract them, but it's going to be on their minds going into that game. I would keep Son with 3 of the next 4 at home, wouldn't you?
I'd rather have Saka.
Would you?
I think so. If I was going to pick out the 2. Yeah, Brentford,
Even
Wolves,
though-
Luton.
Look at the difference in data. We've just shown that Saka's having less than a shot a game, and Son's right up there and playing centre forward, and he's on penalties as well. And you'd rather have Saka.
Yeah, I mean the Luton's away, and we keep underestimating Luton at home.
Yeah.
They're going to be a team that loses every game away from home and stays up with their home form. I'd love for Luton to stay up, to be fair.
I don't think Luton away and Villa away are easy games.
No, true.
So I think I'd rather hold Son and risk not having Saka. I think at the moment not having Saka is a risk you can take given what we're seeing. He's not going to... You're saying you think a 15-pointer's round the corner. I think that's much more likely with Son.
Yeah, it's close. It's close. The thing is, if you sell Son to Saka, you haven't got the money to upgrade somewhere else, like we mentioned, and it is just a straight swap. Whereas you can do a bit more if you move down to one of the other options.
No, I get it. Yeah. If you can do something with the money, then it does change things. Yeah.
Tricky one. Very tricky one. I just want to call out a super chat from Tarek, who is in our Godfather tier. He says, love being on the Nigel tier. We just had a Nigel and a Billy tier to it. Sorry, Tarek, I can't flash your comment up because it was we've had too many comments since you posted it. Bowen is another interesting one, and you could use this same table to look at Bowen replacements.
When he's back.
We think he's back.
What do we
for
know
Palace.
about that?
We think he's
out.
He's out tomorrow. Back for Palace. We don't know in what capacity.
Yeah. So I prefer Bowen to Kudos, and he was tempting me before. Can we bring the ticker up, and let's have a look at West Ham's fixtures.
Middle of the road.
I mean, the reason why we're looking at ticker so much is because this group bash of fixtures is in a short space of time, right? So these 6 or 7 games are over a course of a month, just over a month. So it is even more relevant to look at the fixtures and the ticker in this phase. So what do we think of West Ham's fixtures there? He's back for Palace, then they got Spurs away, Fulham away, Wolves at home, United at home. It's pretty good. There's profit there for Bowen, isn't it, if he's fully fit?
I will give my 2 cents on this. Going into Christmas, do not buy a player who's had an injury doubt or concern.
Yeah.
That's it for me. If you've got Bowen, I would probably sell. Because he'll get flogged and he'll get injured again, and then
and we know it's an ongoing issue as well, don't we?
Yeah.
It's not like the injury's cured. It's like, he's playing through the injury. And yeah, I think you're right. I think it is asking for trouble. If you get Bowen and then he breaks down, you can only really blame yourself.
I know, and I just think we've got there's options in there. Look at the list we've had: Mbumo, Gordon, Palmer. Those are 3 great options. Like if you've got all 3 of those, and Son and Saka, okay, fair enough. But you're not going to have all 3. I just think I'd rather have any of those 3 over Bowen. I'm not saying Bowen. If Bowen plays in these games and plays 90, he's probably going to do quite well because he's been a great asset. I think Spurs away, Fulham away are 2 really good games for him as well. But I just want the nailedonness more than the risk. So if it answers that.
Agree.
That's good. It's rare for us. I think that's it for midfielders. Then let's look at forwards over the season.
Talk about Solanke. No, I'm joking.
Neil Mopé right at the top. 0.93. Let's talk about bad finishes earlier. Let's not go there. Isak falls into that bracket, doesn't he? Probably a bit too risky, but the underlying stats are good. Again, if you're kind of happy to risk it and kind of see how you go, it's not a bad shout. 0.85.
No, I mean for that Newcastle run of 3 games we looked at, where they've got a very good run. Is it worth a punt over that run? Maybe, but I think the European fixture is the concern. Wilson needs to come back to give Howe an option there, otherwise Gordon's going to have to play every game and some of them up front, which he might do, right? So I just think that makes Gordon a more attractive Newcastle asset for me. Here it's just, it's the same players every week, isn't it? We talk about Núñez, we talk about Watkins, and you avoid talking about Solanke. So there's nothing really that leaps out here for me that pushes us into any change of decision.
Ferguson, honestly, Ferguson is.
Oh, I don't want to talk about Ferguson anymore, do we?
Ferguson's a fun one. I think he's starting.
31% conversions outstanding.
Yeah, I just think he's starting to look back to kind of what we hope for him. I mean, I made a prediction at the start of the season that he'd get 15 goals this season. He's had 6, so he's kind of, I'd say, on track if he can kind of, get back on the thing to hit that. If he gets 15 goals at 6 million, he's going to be a good pick. So I do still like him. It's just, how do you fit him in?
We talk about Alvarez. He's 13th here. Where is he in the last 6 game weeks?
Alvarez is a funny one, isn't he? He's completely gone off it. FPL.
Where is he? Where is he in this table? Is he even in the? Is he even there?
Is.
Oh, he's 12th. So he's actually gone up a little bit. But 1 goal, 1 assist in the last 6 starts. It's coincided when I got rid of him, actually.
One of those rare times when you get rid of a player because it looks sensible and it works out. Yeah.
Yeah, I moved him to Watkins, and since then Alvarez has been awful, and Watkins has got 5 returns. So, yeah, if you've got Alvarez still, you surely have to get rid, don't you? I mean, I don't know what's happened, though, because he looked so effective in the first opening months of the season, and something has changed in the way City approach. Whether it's Doku breaking into the team has done that. Maybe it is that. But he just doesn't look anywhere near as dangerous and productive. He's still on some set plays. And he's still, shots per 92.63 is not bad, but it's not in the top 10. So I don't know how much more patience you can show with Alvarez. I think you've got to move to a Darwin or a Solanke if you're holding him.
I'm going to win my free meal from Sam, FPL family.
Well, what did you say?
She bet me 6-7 weeks ago that Alvarez would match Haaland this season for points. I think she said there'd be like 20 points in it. I think that was the cut-off. Haaland is going.
Is that a free meal where you've got to go to dinner with Lee and Sam, or what? How's it work?
Just me and Sam, I think.
Oh, is it right? Okay.
Yeah, that won't cause any kind of
no rifts amongst your relationships at all.
Otherwise, Sam's buying a meal for Yelena and I. Which,
well,
she shouldn't have made the bet. It was a bad bet. It
was a bad bet.
But at the time, it did look like Haaland maybe wasn't having as much of an influence, and Alvarez was the main man, and that's just kind of completely.
I loved him too at that point.
Yeah.
And it's just been fortunate I got off him at a time when he's just that something has changed in the way the City attacker's been operating. They've been less reliant on him, and perhaps I think it is Doku's introduction to the team, and the fact that he seems to be the right. Him and Silva seem to be the route down that side to feed Haaland on the far post, as I've said before. And Alvarez has played a lesser role in the build-up and not having as many opportunities. Alvarez could feast versus Spurs. He could.
I wouldn't sell him in this game.
No, not this game. No. Don't. No, not against that Spurs defence going to the Etihad. No, that's very true. But I guess this game will be the trigger. If he doesn't return in that game, you show too much patience.
Yep. I saw a nice comment from Neil Kager. Hit the like. 800 people watching live. Haven't done a call for a like. If you are watching, smash that button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. Obviously, you've got Mark's videos. I'm going to try and do a team selection myself.
Come on, put your finger out.
Listen to a 2.6 million ranked manager, then that's me. Got all your bases covered. Loads of stuff coming on the channel over the next few weeks. So do make sure you're subscribed to us. And if you're listening on the podcast, give us a review as well, because we like reading the podcast reviews.
Yeah, we haven't called for reviews for a while, is it? But it's always nice to read them. Yeah, lots coming over Christmas. Right,
let's take a look at our predictions then for the upcoming game week. Game week 14. Spoiler: 2 Garden Centre games I've marked
2
this week. First time ever, I think, in BlackBox history. We'll get to those in just a sec. Let's start with Arsenal Wolves. I've gone for 2-1. You've gone for 2-0.
Yeah, I think that's routine. I think that Arsenal defensively so strong. I think they'll have too much for Wolves. I don't think it'll be an easy game for Arsenal. I think they'll find their way through low. And although Wolves have impressed me, and I really like O'Neill and what he's doing, I just don't see them getting anything out of this game. So that's fair enough. Yeah.
Irish Shady says we were top of his Spotify rap playlist. My
Spotify
rap
coming out today.
Mine was weird. The top song is a song I've never heard. And I was like, have I been hacked?
Someone's hacked your account.
Yes, that was genuinely my first song. But only listen to one specific song over and over again, which is an interesting one.
If you can suggest in chat what you think that song is for us, maybe.
My top one. My top artist was Avicii, if anyone was wondering. I do like a bit of Avicii. We've had a super chat from Fwds, but we'll take it at the end, just because it's a bit team specific. So just not to ruin the flow.
We'll hit that one at the end. Thank you very much for the super chat, Fwds.
Hit that one. Nice. Brentford Luton. This is why we're buying in Boomer, right? Both gone for 3 goals. I've gone 3-0. You've gone 3-1.
I think, I think it's going to be a home win. Luton are doing great things, I think, at Kenilworth Road, but on their travels, it's difficult to back them. I think they'll get one. I think they'll cause Brentford problems at set plays, but a win for the home team. And Boomer will get something from that, won't he?
You would have thought so. Yeah, I can't see any way in which Luton keep them out. They were bloody unlucky not to score against Arsenal, weren't they? Two clearances off the line.
Oh, how he missed that. I mean, I'm glad I haven't owned Mbumo, because he's had moments when he must have frustrated the owners, like he's always done, missing some sitters this season. So I hope in this brief period I'm going to own him, he doesn't do the same to me, but we'll see.
People are trying to guess my number. You won't.
I knew they would.
You won't guess the number one song because it's a song I've never heard of and no one's ever heard of. It's a really weird like rap song that I don't know.
Okay. Backstreet Boys? No, not them. Okay, fine.
To be honest, I don't think anyone could guess my actual songs that I like. I have a bit of a weird. I'm at the moment. I mostly just listen to like Lonely Island because I like a bit of humour injected into my.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Never heard of the Lonely Island?
No.
Come on. I mean, to be fair, they were big like 10 years ago.
I don't want to get into music because I'm a music snob and it will just upset people. So.
Yeah, don't listen to the Lonely Island then. Yeah, good. Burnley Sheffield United. I've gone for a comfortable Burnley win. I think they deserve. They deserve.
I don't think
something.
it'll be comfortable, but I keep tipping Burnley to win a game, and so this has got to be against Sheffield United, aren't they? I think there's a little bit of distance between these two teams. Injuries for Sheffield United still a factor. Burnley to win, I think. Yeah,
I think the Sheffield United performance against Bournemouth has that's when you know the manager is probably going to be on the way out pretty soon, because there was no fight, was there? There was just nothing. Like it was just so comfortable for Bournemouth throughout the match.
I don't know what more he can do though with what they've got. You know, they haven't invested enough, and you can only do so much. So you can only get so far with determination and effort, and in this league it doesn't go far enough. I think Burnley have got good players and they've got a good way of playing, and I think they'll find a way through.
Yeah. I can't believe Forest Everton, from where you were, like, Brighton have ruined your confidence.
Everton are a better side on the road than Brighton. I am worried about this game. Really worried.
I'm not.
You've gone 1-0. You think Forest are going to win?
Yeah, comfortable Forest win. 1-0.
I don't know. Yeah, I've gone 2-0. I think it'll be an entertaining game. It's on at 5:30, so you're not going to go to the. Are you going to go to the Garden Centre for that?
Well, funny.
Oh, have you put that down as a Garden Centre game?
Funny you should mention.
Hold on, you can't have 2 Garden Centre games on the same day.
No, they're not.
Right, okay, that's fine. So so basically you're going Saturday during the Forest Everton game, and then what? You've forgotten the barbecue brick, so you need to go back on the Sunday. Is that what you're saying?
There's your first Garden Centre one. Forest Everton.
I think that's harsh. I think it's going to be a thrilling match. Yeah,
yeah, but no one cares but you.
Thanks a lot. Wow.
Maybe some Everton fans.
Harsh.
I stand by it. Newcastle United, that should be a fun game at 8 o'clock. We've both gone for a Newcastle win. I've gone for a 3-1. You've gone for a 2-0.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think Newcastle win. Their home form's so strong. They don't concede many goals at home either. United found ways of getting wins, but I think even the fatigued Newcastle will have too much for them.
Yep. Bournemouth Villa, we've gone opposite ways.
Difference of opinion here.
I know you've gone for a Bournemouth win. You're all so into Bournemouth at the moment.
I love a bit of it. Yeah, I think they can turn Villa over. Obviously, Forest did that to them, and I think confidence, and that's a tight little ground. Don't think it'll be easy for Villa there at all. So I'm going to go a late winner, Tavernier.
You can't overuse that. You've got to go for someone else. To be honest, I think I went for Tavernier because I can't name too many Bournemouth players. He was like the first one that came to my mind. They've got Clivert, haven't they?
They've got good options in attack now. Sinistera, of course, as well. So yeah, I think they can get a result. I'm going 2-1.
Chelsea-Brighton is a very interesting match.
You've gone a Brighton win.
I've gone for a Brighton win. I don't rate Chelsea. They score goals, but they also concede goals. We score goals, but we also concede goals. It could go any way. We absolutely thrashed them last year, but then they dumped us out of the cup. They played really well in that game, actually. They kind of had a bit of a number on us. But it's a bit of a grudge match, this one, of Brighton versus Chelsea.
Yeah, because of the Potter thing, right?
Yeah, and Chelsea at home have struggled. I know they scored the 4 against Man City, but at home they haven't looked Too good. I had to. I just. I'll just openly say I don't like Chelsea. So I had to back Brighton.
You haven't got a team, have you? I mean, you got no left back. Who are you going to play left back? Tell me who's playing left back.
Igor, if he's fit, maybe.
But he's not fit. He's injured.
He might be back. I don't know who plays there if he's not fit. It'll be Gross and Veltman probably, and then Van Heck and maybe Hinchelwood at centre back.
Probably, yeah. So I just don't see you keeping them out. I think you'll trouble them, but I think they'll.
But they won't get the ball.
Keep them out. Right. Okay. I can't talk, can I? Because I saw that at the City Ground.
My dad will turn off again. He was fuming with you last week.
I know he was. I don't want to upset Chris or your mum. I don't want to be insulting your mum's birthday celebrations this week.
You got karma for that because you ended up having to go to the birthday party, and you got karma for slating Brighton.
I upset your complete household, you said to me. That wasn't the kind of comment I want to see in my WhatsApp group. You have upset the Phillips household, the entire
You've paid
household.
the price, though, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I did. So sorry, Chris, and your mum.
Welcome to Miles Edster, by the way, who's just joined the Godfather tier.
Thank you, Miles.
Thanks, Miles.
As we'll be sending you your welcome video soon after this. No, only joking.
We don't mention the welcome videos. We still owe about 20 from before.
Oh my God, what a bad idea that was. Well, you did it in good faith, thinking we'd only get like 5 people.
Yeah, so. I know. We don't do this anymore. But do give me an email at fplblackbox.com. We'll get you set up on the WhatsApp group and in Discord.
Yeah,
4 places remaining in WhatsApp. Ooh.
Oh, they're going. They're going. Get them while they're hot.
Yeah, while they're hot. Liverpool-Fulham. This is the big other match because who are we going to go with for captain? Is it going to be Salah? Is it going to be Haaland? Is it going to be Mbeumo? There's quite a lot of options this week. We've both gone for the same. Both gone for a 3-0 Liverpool win here.
Don't see Fulham scoring. Don't see them keeping them out. Too much for them. So should be returns for Darwin and Salah there, right?
I would have thought so. Fulham are going to obviously drop very deep and look to defend. Can Liverpool unlock them? That's the kind of question, but they should easily have enough.
Kelleher clean sheet.
Which
won't matter because look at the next game. We think Areola will get a clean sheet.
So I don't think
Are we
this is
sure
the week to
about
do
this?
It. Who scores for Palace? I mean, we've seen them without Eze, and they could barely get the ball in the net. They couldn't score. Well, they had to rely on a wonder goal from Elise against Luton.
But they find a way, don't they? They find a way to concede West Ham. So I don't know. I think you're right. I think it's difficult to see a Palace score. I've gone 1-0. I think it'll be a very dull game.
Well, it's
Is this live?
Funny you should say
right,
that.
Right, okay. This one I definitely think is a garden centre game. Yeah, definitely. Is that live on TV, really?
Yeah. Oh. I looked it up. I saw Forest and Everton live and West Ham Palace. I know, ridiculous.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah, I think even if you did go during the Forest Everton game, find a reason to go back
over
on
Liverpool
Sunday.
Fulham as well. Over Liverpool Fulham.
That's madness. Okay, yeah. It would just be liar luck if we do move to Kelleher that Areola will keep a clean sheet here, and I think it can happen. This is a big game though. I think this will be great. This one, right?
Really looking forward to this one.
You think Ange will go for it still? He's gonna, isn't he? Bentancur out now as well.
They've got such issues, Spurs, and it's not a good time to be playing City. It's not a good time playing them at home as well. It's going to be Royale and Dyer and Davis up against Haaland. Doku.
Yeah, well, this is it. We're going to talk about the captaincy now, aren't we? And I do think Haaland will be too much for them.
Yeah, you've gone for a 3-1. I've gone for a 4-2. There's goals in it for sure. I mean, it could be any score. It's a bit like the Villa Spurs. I think we all were expecting goals in that. And again, I think that was that 2-1 in the end to Villa?
Yeah.
2-1. But I mean, it could have been anything, couldn't it? It could have. Watkins could have had 3 goals.
There was a lot of chances.
It could have been 4-4. So yeah, I think this one's going to be similar. Just before we do captain, just a mention on the predictions league. That's the kind of thing you get if you sign up for the Godfather tier.
No, why are you showing this? You're beating me.
This is all that matters. Obviously, again, shout out to Lee for all of this, all the work that goes into this.
Yeah, well, he is second, so let's see if he keeps it up, if he starts dropping down the table.
That's a good point, actually.
But yeah, well, thanks for your help, Lee, with this.
Yeah, always fun. And obviously, if you get added in now, the average points per game is what this is ranked on, so you can come in.
I need to pull my socks up, don't
I?
Yeah?
17th? What's going on? Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Let's look at captains.
Haaland for me.
I should mention as well, we didn't mention it when the tables first came out, but obviously massive shout out to Fantasy Football Scout.
Oh, yes.
All of the stats that we get. If you aren't signed up to Fantasy Football Scout, you really should be, particularly going into the Christmas break.
I had to look at the new members area. That's shaping up nicely.
Yeah, it's making some real improvements across loads of things, videos, there's shorts now coming out for those, which we're kind of experimenting with and we'll be trying out over the next few weeks. But yeah, loads of stuff on there. The quality of articles, as always, is really high. So if you haven't been able to scout, then you absolutely should.
And team news over Christmas would be crucial as well.
Oh, absolutely.
No one does a better job than Neil on that.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Captains, Haaland at the top of the season data, 14 goals. XG non-penalty per 90 of 0.91. He's better than Nunes. Salah is on 0.75. Points per 90, pretty similar, 8.3 to 8.4.
is it just Salah versus Haaland? It is, isn't it?
I think this week, given the, I mean, you could make a case for Mbeumo if it was maybe last week or the week before, but Fulham at home, that gives loads of potential points for Salah, given that they're one of the worst teams defensively. Spurs with the injuries they've got, it's got to be one of those.
Where are you going? You're going Haaland as well, are you?
Got to be.
Why are you going there?
I
think Salah returns as well. You've been there all the time, have you?
I just haven't wavered because I keep picturing Haaland versus Davies and Emerson Royale. And I just think there is absolutely no way they are going to be able to deal with him. And I think about Salah, and okay, we've seen some good performances from him recently, but he might be stuck out wide. I think there is a chance that Fulham set up really deep, a bit like Luton did, and they struggled to break them down a little bit.
Yeah.
And Spurs just aren't going to do that. There's going to be so many opportunities. There's going to be so many opportunities. I mean, if Haaland doesn't get 2 attacking returns in that game, I would be absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
And
I've been talking up how City are exploiting more his physicality as well.
Yeah.
And there's no better game coming up, given how much Watkins calls. I mean, they were lucky Watkins didn't get more, because he should have scored with that header on the far post in the second half. He had a goal disallowed, I think, as well.
Yep.
I mean, so they struggled with Watkins. Yeah, they're going to struggle with Haaland, as everybody does, but particularly without their 2 first-choice centre-backs. Maybe Dyer will come back in for this. Maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe he'll go 3 at the back. I don't know. We don't think that, because Ange teaches.
I can't see any combination of defenders that are going to be able to deal with the way City are playing at the moment and the way Haaland is. He looks back to his kind of like unstoppable last year form, where he's just scoring every game. The goal he scored against Liverpool, that's when Liverpool switched off for like, I don't know, half a second and just left him in a bit too much space. Bam, pile driver.
I wonder what they're going to do with Porro as well, because if they play Doku, will Pep play Doku to pin Porro back as well? Because if they play Doku, Porro can't invert and come into midfield as much, surely, because they're going to have Doku's just going to stay wide, isn't he? I mean, I think Pep will play wingers as wide as possible. Yeah, I think everything adds up to City winning the game. City
are just stronger at the moment in every position, so there's no reason why Pep can't just match them, like for like, and just take him down with 4 or 5 goals.
I'll be interested to see what Luke thinks about. I mean, Luke says he's given up doing Predictor Pep, but he's.
I see him on
Predictor Pep, but he's always doing it. It's like I'm sure he's doing it just as much. So I'll see what he thinks about the team, because I think you probably will go Doku rather than go for the control with Grealish, and I think that's just going to stretch the game even more and mean that Haaland will get more opportunities. Yeah, I think it's Haaland this week. We had not what the graphic says, but
no, we had Salah in the primary candidate when we put this together. Obviously with Haaland second. I think just given what we've seen from Spurs over the last few weeks, that's kind of what's shifted our kind of thinking. On that. I mean, in a week where I've been kind of thinking about going a bit left field, we haven't had the options like Watkins versus Bournemouth or Saka versus Wolves or Mbeumo versus Luton. I went for Watkins versus Fulham a few weeks ago, but that worked out terribly because that's when Salah and Haaland went crazy.
I mean, looking forward, one reason why you wouldn't move Watkins to Darwin is game week 18, of course. We've got to have that in mind. And there's 2 clear captains for that, Son versus Everton and Watkins versus Sheffield United. Given that we're selling Diaby, a lot of managers will be, do you lose Watkins for that as well? I mean, that is such a plumb tie, isn't it? That's the difficulty. So for me, it's hard to lose Watkins with that in mind. I mean, I'm quite fortunate that I got him late and I haven't got too much money tied up in him, so I could go back to him, but that's booking in transfers. So that's playing on my mind as well, which is why if I'm going to try and find money for my team, it's going to be the Mbeumo downgrade that I'd more likely do than Watkins to Darwin, I think. Yeah.
I just think Watkins is quite an easy hold. I just think Villa are so high up in the attacking data.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got a couple of tough fixtures, but
they're both at home.
Both at home, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's a hold for me going forward. Let's take a look at our teams. We basically do this in one segment because they're so similar. I've already made my move. I've already done Diaby to Mbumo. You know, if Bailey starts in the week, no, I'd still want to do it. So it made no difference. I wanted to catch the price rise. So it's Areola in goal with Gabriel, Simicast and Livramento. Salah, Son, Saka, Mbumo, Adingra, Haaland to Watkins. I'm completely set. It's just, do I do Adingra to Palmer for a hit?
If you do Adingra to Palmer, the only difference between our teams is Livramento
versus Trippier.
I don't think that I've ever... I mean, they're playing in the same team.
I know.
Oh, my God. I hadn't realised. What's going on?
I don't know. It's awful, isn't it?
I can't remember a time where our teams have been so similar.
Again, something's
our ranks
gone
are so far apart. No, sorry, I didn't mean that.
Oh.
But yeah, that is odd. Yeah, what's going on? I didn't realise I made this show I called it Spot the Difference. We were going to stumble upon this as well. But yeah.
What? Is that not the reason you called it Spot?
No, it was just penalty spot. And
yeah,
I
knew it was this because I'm looking at like the 80-point difference between us, and I'm getting closer to your team.
Yeah, obviously it makes me very comfortable that you're just getting my team,
84
but with a lesser player as well.
Yeah. Well, what would you think about Adingra to Palmer for a hit?
I'd do it for a hit. No,
it's tough. It's tricky, isn't it?
I think Palmer will profit from the game. I back Palmer for points more than Adingra, definitely. He's kind of central to everything they do. If they're going to win the game, I think they're going to win the game with 2 or 3 goals. I'd probably do it. Is Palmer going up in price before the deadline?
I don't know. I think he's about 16%. I think he really went up.
What does chat think?
Yeah, let me know. God, someone else needs to manage my team for a bit. I can't get any worse. Dr. Davis says he's trying to catch Mark by copying him. I'm not trying to catch Mark.
Yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
Well, I'm not like I can't beat you by getting in worse players. You know, than like who.
No, that isn't going to work either.
I could have maybe have gone Diaby to Gordon, but then I just think Mbumo's a better pick than Gordon going
I think
forward.
the problem is I've got a template team which looks quite obviously the type of team to have, and as of many, it's not just me. Loads of managers are going to have a very similar team to mine, and not having that team looks suboptimal. I'm going to say it for the second time. So yes, it's a tricky one for you at the moment, but it will shake up with AFCON. So you just got to wait for that and maybe go a different route there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't make decisions on trying to catch you. I need to climb up the ranks, and to do that, I need to carry on making. I've tried to be a bit different with the captaincy, and obviously, it's gone completely terribly with that. Obviously, defence is an area which I'm going to kind of target, but I just think you look at the stars next to all the players' names. These are kind of the top assets.
I know.
Yeah.
And my team, let's go through that really quickly. Is more or less exactly the same. Areola in goal. That's not my team.
Sorry.
Areola in goal. Simicast, Trippier, Gabriel, Saka, Mbomo, Salah, Son, Palmer, Haaland, Watkins.
So ridiculous, isn't it? And the captain the same as well.
And I've got another transfer, so I could do Strakosha to Kelleher and play Kelleher. But if I do that, you watch Areola keep a clean sheet.
That's what I need. It's just my 80 points. Come back. I would do that.
Would you?
Yeah.
But then I'm shutting off the Watkins to Darwin move, aren't I? Which I don't want to. I don't think I'm going to want to do. But you never know. Darwin at Sheffield United. That could be good, couldn't it?
Would it matter what Darwin did this week to make you want to do that, or do you just want a bit more?
I think
time?
the minutes would matter. I don't think the output necessarily would, because we know what we get with Darwin. It is a bit of a lottery as to when he's going to deliver. The fixture though, away at Sheffield United, I think Liverpool are going to get 3 or 4 goals there quite easily, given that Bournemouth just got 3. I mean, Bournemouth tore them to shreds. So what are Liverpool going to do? So yeah, it is tempting to do Kelleher, but that shutting off the Darwin option is a worry for me. So I'm probably going to roll the second transfer.
I mean, that is one of the reasons why maybe I'm thinking about doing the Palmer move this week, because if I'm going to want Palmer the week after, then maybe it's best just to do it this week. And then if I wanted to do Watkins to Darwin, I could, because otherwise it's going to be hit next week. Locking in transfers, it never really works. It's just trying to work out whether Palmer outscores Adingra by 4 points. And I think both teams score, but we've seen Adingra get nothing in a three goal and his stats are really poor. So I'm kind of leaning towards doing it, I think, just about.
Yeah, as Twitter Sortgator says here, like lots of tired legs over correct, especially for the weaker teams. This is why I worry. Like Liverpool turn up to a tired Sheffield United as well.
Yeah,
it's a midweek game, isn't it? Coming soon after this weekend's game. Could be really messy. So yeah, not having Darwin could be a problem there, and that could be where the non-Haalanders catch up.
Yeah,
just before they get Haaland back.
Brighton have got a big game in Europe as well tomorrow. We need a result really in that. And then
and Chelsea haven't got a game in midweek.
And then the fixtures as well. So again, targeting teams against Brighton. We've got Mbumo coming up in a few weeks, and others, Palmer and Mbumo, is a good show. I mean, we set the record now. You seen that? Most goals scored and conceded in consecutive games.
They follow you around the goals, don't they? Yeah.
That's it. Pretty much. Then let's just take a look at the Black Box League. So this is the league that's available to everyone. The league code for that is 95GXEU. If you're not in that already, do join. There's a link in the description too, if you're lazy. We've got Hard to Guess in top, Josh Hinchcliffe in second, Nicholas Reginson in third, Kevin Prendergast in fourth, Jack Lucas in fifth, Joe Cassidy in sixth, Gerard McIntyre in seventh, Dimpson Rimbo in eighth, Olavi Oya in ninth, and Dan Carrillo in 10th. Congratulations, all having absolutely banging seasons so far. You're nearly 200 points ahead of me, Hardick. So, let's not focus too much on that.
Let's not analyse that too much. Yeah.
In the Apprentice League, your top 818, quite a way ahead of Liesel, who had a good week, the best of the five of us, with 53. Ryan, me and him having a bit of a ding-dong battle this season. He's gone up to third. I'm in fourth. And Natalie still struggling quite a way down.
Beat us both, though. Beat us both this week.
Good week for...
Come on, Nat. I'm cheering for you.
Yeah,
Come
me
on.
too.
You can turn it round.
And then if we look at our Godfather tier members league, we've got Avi Frocter in first, Richard Smith in second, Nick Baker in third, Pratik Mahanti in fourth, Ken Mia in fifth, some bloke in sixth. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name. Mark Sutherland. Chris Tanya in seventh, Conor Gray in eighth, Tarek Abdullah in ninth, and Tom Gould in 10th.
Lovely stuff. Bang on 2 hours, I think we've done. There we go.
1:57 according to my...
We have got to do something with our teams to make it more interesting.
It's bad, isn't it?
It is. I hadn't realised it got that bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And I don't know how other people are feeling. It goes against my instincts to just have a very template team. And I said, when I moved in Mbumo in, that was the final piece, wasn't it? It was like not having Diaby over Mbumo was my final bit of resistance against the template, if you like. And now I've done it, it just feels like... I think it looks good.
The only thing
it looks good on paper, but
the only thing you can say is you haven't even wildcarded yet. So you had a lot of these players.
I have wildcarded. I have.
Oh, you have wildcarded. Okay.
Yeah, I've
you had a lot of these players in before you wildcarded.
No. Yeah, I did. I get.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm
trying to praise you. Just take it.
Yeah, but I find myself like this week. I'll be Trippier is my only source to really gaining ground on the majority because everyone's got very similar players. And I always rebel against this, and people are all shouting at me, going, well, they're the best players to have, don't worry about the template. I agree, I get it. It just feels wrong, doesn't it? Especially when on the show we've got similar teams. I don't think there's been any time in Black Box history where our teams has been as similar as it.
No way. Not with two players different, and one of them is from the same team. Absolutely not. We've always had kind of little disagreements about which are the best midfielders and which are against forwards, but, we could be accused of being a bit dull at the moment, but you can't bring in players for the sake of it. You can't make recommendations for the sake of it, and it's really hard to look past, especially those talisman players that we talked about from Meerkat earlier. So we've just got to hope that things diverge a bit.
It will diverge with AFCON because we obviously have to need to look at getting rid of Salah and Son maybe. Well, one of them at least. I can't see many managers carrying Salah through, so that will change things. It's whether or not before then we blink, and I kind of want to, but it's risky when you're doing well. For you, I think you should look for options to break out, but that might make the show a bit more interesting. Think of the show, think of the audience.
I think I need to do the opposite.
Think of the children.
I need to do the opposite of that because the template rating where I am is way different to where it is where you are. Right. You know, like I'm still getting points from like Watkins and players because I'm doing so badly. So actually, me massively differentiating myself when those players are doing well. It's taking the captaincy off. If I'd stuck with Haaland the last few weeks, I'd be closer to the top million than I'd be 3 million.
Right, we've got to do the super chat. What was the super chat from
The
earlier?
super chat
Can you find
was
it?
from Faisy Erkin. I do have it right here.
Right, nice one.
If on a
Good
wild
job.
card, massive super chat, by the way. Thank you so much. That's probably the biggest one we've ever had.
Well, what we got?
About 15 quid for that.
Well,
I know.
very generous.
So
We better answer this well.
Answer, yeah.
No pressure.
If on a wild card, would you change anything in a Salah, Saka, Mbumo, Gordon, Palmer, Haaland, Darwin, Watkins setup? Wow, that is a hell of a team.
That's exactly what I would move to. I don't know what he's got at the back. Presumably, yeah.
There's no Son in that.
Right.
That's the because it's Darwin over Son essentially.
Yeah. I don't know what his rank would be. I think that would make, if I was trying to close up a gap, I would go Darwin over Son. I think. Presumably he can't get to Son. Has he mentioned what defence he's got?
No mention on defence. I imagine it's pretty standard, mostly 4.5s or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the rotation is a problem though, isn't it? I mean, who do you bench out of Palmer, Gordon, Mbumo, Darwin, Watkins every week?
Well, Palmer's fixtures aren't brilliant, and for a while, there's I think 2 or 3 game weeks, and then they pick up. So I guess he's rotating Palmer and Darwin. He's rotating Palmer, Darwin, and Gordon there, isn't he? I imagine. So he's going to try and anticipate what Klopp will do with Darwin. I think with Jota out, it makes it a little bit harder, because I think Darwin could easily start every game now. Sheffield United you want Darwin for. Obviously, that's the one you hope he starts. I don't think you can find fault with those 8 players. I think it's only the benching headache. He's got to sit there and work out how he's going to work that. And it's only worth moving away from that if there is a need somewhere for money in defence. So if it means having 2 Arsenal defenders, maybe you would overlook having Darwin and having Solanke instead.
So there's another two parts to the question. So would you go for a 4.4 million mid as bench fodder, and let go of one of the mids, so one of Palmer or Gordon, and then potentially you could upgrade to Saliba, maybe if in defence. The other question is, would you rate Isak ahead of Watkins or Darwin?
No.
I mean, you could drop Watkins down and move Gordon up to Son. I think if I was wildcarding now, I'd be tempted to go without Watkins.
Yeah, because of those 2 fixtures. Possibly bet against him. Could he bring Solanke into the equation for Watkins, and what money would that give him? Could he get to Son then?
2 million-ish, probably not, no.
I think if I was wildcarding, I'd have 2 Arsenal defenders.
Yeah.
So I would, whatever it takes to get to that.
Raya. I mean, you don't need a huge amount to get to Raya.
No, you need Raya and Gabriel. I think you do that. So I think that I mean, you could, I guess you want Darwin for this run, just in case he does blow up on these fixtures. So I think the priority would be getting 2 Arsenal defenders and as close to that attacking 8 as you could get. I wouldn't lose Palmer or Gordon. I think they're both valuable players over this run because they both got good fixtures. And prior to this, I thought Gordon would get rotated or rested, but I don't think he can unless Wilson gets back fit, because Isak's going to be the player they're going to need to protect. And to do that, it means Gordon playing up front, I think, in a couple of games. So
you move Watkins down then, don't you? And then upgrade defence.
Watkins to Solanke, and then use that to get Saliba and Raya. I mean, I guess you would go Saliba over Gabriel because there's a chance that Gabriel might get the rest, and Saliba's probably more secure. So I would do that. I would go without Watkins, go Solanke with Darwin and Haaland, and have Saliba and Raya. That's what I would do.
I hate to agree with you again, but yeah, that's probably what I do. I think. I mean, Watkins could do quite well against Bournemouth, but Villa away haven't been that great, and then it's the 2 rough home games.
Yeah, and I think rotating Solanke with Palmer and Gordon works all right.
Yeah,
works all right. They've all got. I think they've got good rotation there. Hopefully that was worth 15 quid, but thank you very much. It isn't, of course, because nothing we say is worth that. But yeah.
Omar says we forgot another super chat. Did we? I didn't see one.
Who are we missing? I don't think so.
Oh, we did. Brian Morrissey. Is that a Stereolab disc mask? Mark?
Yes, it's a Stereolab drinks tray, which I got because my partner's half sister lives next door to the man who printed their original single covers, and I have one of them. And there's only 500 in the world, and I have one in my attic. And I told them that, and then he gave me a drinks tray to congratulate me for being a fan that early on with that band. Stay Labo great, by the way. So, yeah.
I don't even know who that band are, and I've heard that story like 10 times.
Yeah. Have you? Oh, there you go. Right.
Yeah, I think you've been asked about it before, kind of on stream.
Was that a super chat asking me that?
That was, yeah.
Wow.
We'll answer anything, honestly. There's no there's no limits to what we will do with some super chats.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right, that's it for us this week then, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Kind of in and around 1,000 people watching live, which is always great, especially when there's football on to watch. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Mark and I will be back. Ooh, I don't know when we'll be back next week because it's midweek.
No, we've got to look at the Christmas schedule, haven't we? We're going to try and do Monday night, aren't we? We're going to try and do Monday night? Come on.
Yeah, let's do Monday
night.
Monday
Let's
night.
do Monday. I'll update the data Sunday, late Sunday, and we'll get something out Monday night. Be a late tackle or a BB. We'll do something.
I've got a squash game Monday night, so we're going to have to work around
playing
that.
Squash?
Yeah, not well.
Are you sure?
Not well.
Are you sure? Are you going to be all right for the stream afterwards, or are you going to be hospitalised?
No, I think I'll do squash afterwards.
You young people, I don't know.
Oh, we've had one more Godfather tier member join as well.
Oh, marvellous. 3 slots left now. Who's that?
Oh, wait, that's Miles. Did Miles join? Did I mention Miles?
We did, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
We only had one then.
Still 4 slots left.
Thanks anyway, Miles.
That's 5. There's 4.
Perfect. And as Tarek says it better than I ever could. Good evening, everyone. Have a lovely night. And Mark and I, well, Mark, you'll be back on Friday, and both of us will be back
with Andy
Monday.
on Friday.
See you
Good
later.
night from me.
Good night, everyone.